Boys in the back. Boys.
What is good? We are back with another episode of The Boys in the Back on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday in New York City. Spring has officially sprung. It is, what do they call it? Quit your job weather outside. It's that weather that you just get a hint of it, and it's just like, man, maybe I shouldn't work 5 days a week. Nonetheless, I am here at work. I'm your host, Connor Burks, joined alongside me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. New York Rick.
I'm not quitting my job. I'm happy. I've never been more excited.
You look out that window right there. You look at that real glass pane window outside. It's just like you get closer, you can kind of feel the warmth. You can kind of just like you smell the springtime outside.
Have we already passed that day that you've long talked about?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, it was actually like probably a week and a half ago, between the Ariel Helwani show and then Ariel Exade episode. I went for like a quick walk outside. Tulips blooming, birds chirping.
Birds just flew by.
Yeah, I mean they can hear me. Like they're calling me to come outside. I just took a big I was like, oh yeah, it's here. Spring has sprung. I mean, I'm coming to work. Like I noticed back in our control room, we got a big coat rack. It's empty these days.
Yeah.
No one's wearing coats anymore. It's warm enough. Spring has sprung. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I've been feeling the same. My pool just got open today in the back.
Oh wow.
We're moving toward it. But I say all that. I say I'm not ready to quit my job to say that I don't know if I've been more excited for a show because
oh my God,
we've got a lot on the docket this weekend. Now, there have been maybe bigger, kind of like more flashy type events, but I don't think many that I've personally wanted to see as much as some of the fights that we're going to see this weekend.
No, I mean, obviously not quitting my job. Love my job. Very much enjoy it, but I am 100% with you. I mean, what we have to break down this weekend, UFC Kansas City, banger card in a great city that's going to have a very loud crowd. Eubank Ben in front of 65,000 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Your fight of the year, your fight of your life. I mean, you've been waiting for this one for years, since it was supposed to happen back in 2022. Little KSW action. They got a title on the line. They also got Pujanowski going up against Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall's back, baby.
Love our pound for pound today as well.
Yeah.
Top fighting video games. I think it's going to get contentious. I think it's going to get heated. And then voicemails, which is quickly becoming a staple around these parts and quickly becoming my favorite segment. Just reacting to what people have to say.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm excited about it. You mentioned Eubank Ben. That one's up there for me, as I've said, across all combat sports. The build to this, and we're going to get the press conference today. We'll get the weigh-ins. We'll get to the fight night. But Prates and Garry is kind of a fight that, like, it may not be like a title on the line, but it's one that I'm really, really into. Like, it's a perfect fight.
Can't wait for it. And I just can't wait for Saturday, period. I mean, it's just like starting at like 4:30 Eastern time over here, going till like 11:30 p.m. It's just like sick fights the whole way. It's going to be great. Yeah, we made up a little schedule for you. Noon, KSW and Eubank Ben starting. 4:45-ish, we're going to get that Eddie Hall Pujanowski walk. 5:15, you're going to get the welterweight title in KSW. 5:30, Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. 6 o'clock. It's just like, we're going to go straight. Like, UFC Kansas City is going to be kicking off as Eubank Ben is going to be like crescendoing into the latter parts of the fight. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, there's no time to take a breath. Just rolls into it, and we're ready to go.
Sign me up. Before we get into that, this morning, DDP,
yes,
the middleweight champion of the world, Dricus du Plessis, took to Instagram, I believe it was, broke his silence in terms of all the tweeting going on with Hamzat and Caio Bajalio and Nasruddin Imavov. And he had this to say. Okay. I guess you spell okay with an E down in South Africa. Okay, so everyone had their opinions and rumors and stories about a shin break and injuries, etc. I found it all very entertaining. Unfortunately, I guess that's like unfortunately for the rest of the middleweight division, none of that is true. Myself and the UFC have already discussed a fight date and opponent. The June fight was never signed. I did not pull out of any fight. I am the champion. I know when I fight. You as a contender, you just show up when we tell you to. Fight announcement coming soon. Stay tuned. Hashtag prepare to be amazed. Hashtag still knocks. Okay.
Yes, so some clarity. So a little.
I was going to say clarity, but also the waters are muddied now. It's like the June fight was never signed. Does that mean you're going to fight in June?
Yeah.
Are you going to fight at International Fight Week, or does that mean you're getting saved for a later pay-per-view?
We don't know. That's the part that still remains. But the fact that Dricus du Plessis is not injured makes me think that if we are to see Hamzat anytime soon, it will be against Dricus du Plessis and it will not be against somebody else, right? Because if Hamzat is ready and DDP is ready and there is no injury, then there's nothing stopping that fight. And while I would like to see Hamzat against anybody, like I would be okay if it had been Kaio or somebody else, the fight I really want is DDP versus Hamzat. And so the fact that this means that could be closer rather than further, I'm fine. Even if it's not June, if it's sometime this summer, if it's even, like a little bit into fall, that's okay for me.
I'm 100% with you because like what I was worried is like, oh, DDP gets injured and then we know Hamzat, sometimes it can be tricky getting him into the octagon and things just don't line up. And then we're going into another year where it's like, when is Hamzat Chimaev going to fight for an undisputed world title? I also feel like, obviously, believe what DDP is saying. He's like, I'm not injured. I'm going to be making a fight announcement soon. But also it felt like the way that Caio Bajalio spoke to Ariel the other day about like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on anymore. Like, I don't think it's going to be an interim title fight on International Fight Week. Kind of like let you know that like that plan wasn't going to move forward.
Yeah. And the other part of that is, I like the idea of Dricus du Plessis kind of taking the narrative into his own hands and being like, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of things being said. If you hear from the source that I won't be able to fight, then you know. And so we'll see what happens from here. As I said, I'm hopeful now that we will get the fight that we wanted. That's all that matters.
Yeah. When we get it is to be seen. So now we know, like, the reports are coming out. Ilya will be fighting on International Fight Week, and it will be for a title, whether it's interim or undisputed. That's what the reports are saying. And now we're getting reports that DDP will be fighting, defending his middleweight title, likely against Hamzat Chimaev. With all of that being said, do you have one more updated prediction for what you think is going to happen International Fight Week?
I think Ilya versus Charles.
Ilya, Charles, Pantoja, KKF?
Something along those lines. Because
cool with that.
And I've long felt like if we are going to have Islam waiting, you can't do much else. Like, you really are in a tough spot. And the UFC is going to have to sell this card. They're going to have to announce at some point. The easiest thing you can do, if Charles is willing, if Ilya is willing, is make that fight. Now, is Islam Makhachev going to be stripped for that to be for a vacant title? That's the more interesting part to me, right? Because I think Charles versus Ilya does not need a title, ultimately. But if I'm Ilia Topuria, I would feel hard done if I had to vacate my title and it's not for a title opportunity, right? Why did I have to vacate it? They could have fought for interim. I could have kept holding it, and I could have been a champion. So if Islam's not going to give up his title while he's waiting for something to resolve at 170, then I would feel some type of way if I was Ilia Topuria. Ultimately, I think that's the fight that will be made. I don't imagine they'll strip Islam. I think unlike Ilya, who had two title defenses, two title fights, Islam's been a long-standing champion. I think he's the number one pound-for-pound fighter. I think he has earned the right to hold on to that and kind of decide his future. But we'll see. I mean, ultimately, this is all this game of musical chairs that somehow hinges like nearly entirely on Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena in the most bizarre way possible. I think it will be Charles versus Ilya. Title or no title. I think that fight does not need a title, ultimately. Like, that is such a good fight. Those are two extremely big stars for the UFC. I don't think it needs a title.
Well, I disagree with you. I would prefer it to have a title on it. I think the UFC strongly disagrees with you. I think they've shown in the past their affinity for having title fights on these big cards. I mean, when was the last one we didn't have a title fight? Was it Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington, UFC 272? Like, and I'm counting the BMF belt just because they like to put a title on things.
Yeah, they
so I would say I'm with you. I think it will be Ilya Charles. Actually, I don't know.
They tend to want a title atop the bill so they can go. It's for some kind of championship. But if you have the former champion, you can still massage that. You can still make it go, Ilia Topuria is a champion by all accounts, right? Like, nobody's going to look at Ilia Topuria and go, because he gave up the piece of gold that he never lost, is he not a champion anymore? I think you can still find a way to massage that. I think it's still a massive fight. And Charles Oliveira carries himself like a champion, has the aura of a champion, has the fan base, the support of somebody who's a champion. I think you can figure out a way to make it work. But as I said, if I was Ilya, I would still feel some type of way. Because if Islam can hold on to his, why couldn't I hold on to mine?
Yeah, I'm with you. Just a matter of weeks. We'll know. I mean, by the week after UFC 315, and I know that's a ways away, but it's like we will know by then.
Hopefully.
We will know all of this in short order, in my opinion. And then this will all be for naught, all this discussion, all this debate, but it's fun to have it. While we didn't get fight news from DDP, we did get fight news for Mateusz Gamrot, the number 7th ranked lightweight in the entire world, gets Ludovic Klein. Who is running well right now. I believe he's
got 6 in a row?
Yeah, 6 in a row with 1 draw mixed in there as well. Yeah. But an unranked opponent in the Apex, not main eventing on the Aaron Blanchfield Macy Barber card.
Yeah, it feels like they've got Gamrot in this kind of slot where he's asking for big fights, he's asking for the names, and it just feels like they're not inclined to kind of put him into that mix. I almost feel like that was kind of appropriate when we were talking like, is Gamrot going to jump in into that Gaethje Fiziev fight that when it fell off from Hooker? Like that might not have been the all action fight, but I don't know if he deserves to kind of like be in this spot where he's not even amongst the top contenders. He's so good. I know he's not, the all action fireworks type guy, but it's not like he's boring either. I think the idea of like Gamrot as this like super boring grinder is a little bit overplayed at this point. Ultimately though, kudos to him for giving a guy who's on the rise an opportunity, also proving how game he continues to be. But I would like to see him fighting like the Armins, the Justins, those types of guys. Even Hooker, like that. I mean,
he has a win over Armin. He has a win over Fiziev. He went to a split decision war with Dan Hooker last year. That was a fight of the year contender. Like, I'm not making the claim that he should be fighting for the title or he should even be like fighting Armin next or anything. But this does feel like a bit of like a
demotion.
Stay in your lane, Mateusz Gamrot.
Well, yeah, like
despite being 24-3 and the number 7th ranked guy in the world.
Would they do this to Justin Gaethje?
No.
Like,
would they do it to Paddy Pimblett, who's ranked 1 slot below?
Well, Paddy Pimblett's an exception where I think he's bigger than both those guys already. But like a Justin Gaethje, right? I think Gamrot has comparable wins, if not better potentially wins. That win over Armin, to me, I think is a very significant win. And so, but the big difference between the two is Gamrot's primarily a grappler, and Gaethje's primarily a stand in the middle and slug it out. Style-wise, I understand why you'd want to highlight somebody like Gaethje and put him in those positions, but like it does feel like a demotion, and it feels like something that is particular to him. At the end of the day, though, if he gets a win here, he's still in that conversation. He's still top ranked. He'll still find a way to kind of enter those equations. But it does feel like he's kind of like the black sheep of that division in the sense that like most of the top guys aren't going to want to fight him because A, it's going to be stylistically not like this like stand in the middle and bang type fight. Secondarily, it's a very tough fight because he's as good as he is. He's extremely good. And then third, it doesn't really like elevate their stock in a way that they could do against somebody else who's in that top of the division. So he's in a rough spot just because of that, but I think he still belongs at the top of this division. At the same time, good for Klein for seizing an opportunity and good for him for being game enough to take it.
Yeah, I mean, Klein can jump into the rankings with this. Yeah. That'll be 7-0-1 in his last 8. But yeah, Mateusz Gamrot, this feels like one that you go out to the Apex. You fight a tough opponent that's on a nice streak, and then if you get a win, your name stays exactly the same at number 7 in the rankings, and you don't really go up at all. But we'll see. The much awaited, much anticipated UFC 107 is coming together out there in the desert, headlined by Aaron Blanchfield, Macy Barber. We can talk about that on the week of Memorial Day next month. This weekend, though, UFC Kansas City, headlined by Ian Garry, Carlos Prates, which came together in short notice. I'm trying to think in the welterweight division. Like this is like a perfect. I like this better than the Jeff Neal fight for Carlos Prates. I wish he had gotten to fight in Miami. I think the crowd would have been great for him, and it would have been a big spot. But headlining in Kansas City is not a bad secondary option.
Headlining Kansas City against the guy whose star power is greater than your own even, right? Like, all due respect to Jeff Neal, he's not bringing the eyeballs that Ian Machado Garry is, even though he might be a comparable fight or even potentially stylistically a tougher fight, right, for Carlos. This one comes with so much more fanfare. This one comes with so much more attention. This one comes with perceivably more stakes, right? If you beat Jeff Neal, there's still people who will go, okay, you're not jumping into this top ranking. We're not going to fight you. You beat Ian Garry, and all of a sudden, you're entering the conversations with the Shavkats and the JDMs and the people who are at the top of the division.
I mean, if he beats Ian Garry, you're facing the number 7th ranked guy.
Yeah.
If he beats him, he immediately jumps in the top 10, whether it's just taking the spot at 7, whether it's 8, 9, whatever. You are immediately in the top 10 of the division, and you get a win. And, like, if he wins, the way that he wins is typically in emphatic fashion by knockout, creating a highlight against the guy that is a big name, but not necessarily a fan favorite in Ian Garry. He has a lot of detractors. He has a lot of people that still cheer against him. The respect may be growing. Damn, this dude is really down. Like, we should stop doubting him. He really is a high-level, top-tier fighter, especially after the Shavkat fight, but still not a fan favorite. And if he puts him out, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be cheering him on. And he just continues to grow as this babyface. And now he's immediately slotted in line for this deep, deep welterweight division. Like, if he wins, the top of the welterweight division is like so insanely stacked or like congested, however you want to say it. Because you got Bilal and JDM fighting.
Yeah.
And then you got Brady number 1. You've got Leon Edwards still hanging around, obviously coming off a loss. You got Joaquin Buckley. You potentially have Islam coming up to 170 if don't go Bilal's way. At UFC 315. Prates will be there. Garry will still be hanging around. Like, it's just like, it just becomes so incredibly stacked on Shavkat Rakhmonov, undefeated, owed a title shot. Like, it's just so ridiculously deep if he wins. And he immediately goes into that pecking order of, like, what's next for him? Is it a Sean Brady fight? Is it a Joaquin Buckley fight? Are we want to win away from a title shot for Carlos Prates and the Fighting Nerds?
I feel like the one might be Leon Edwards, if I'm being honest. I feel like
Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one. If you're Leon, you're getting a guy who's gonna strike with you. Now, he's extremely dangerous. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that this is like a cakewalk, but if you're Leon Edwards, you get a guy that you at least know is going to stand there and trade with you. And in Carlos, you get a former champion. You get the guy who was holding the belt before this guy, who also is going to stand there and trade with you, and you probably like your chances in that fight. It seems like it makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind, on the other side of the coin, Ian Garry fighting Leon Edwards, because I know that both of these guys are going to feel like they deserve a title shot with this win. I know that. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't think they will get it for the reason you just said, how congested it is at the top. I would have Brady and Shavkat ahead of both, undoubtedly, right? Even with a win here, even though it was a close fight, Ian lost to Shavkat. Shavkat has to remain ahead of him.
1,000%.
Carlos is beating Ian, but he has not beaten the likes of the Shavkats or the Sean Bradys in this division. And so I would keep him behind them as well. I think they're going to have to fight one, possibly even 2 more times, just depending if Islam Makhachev comes up, he's skipping that entire line, and now you've got to wait another cycle for the Shavkat fight to resolve. So there's a lot going on here. It's going to be congested. I think the next step is somebody in that top. It might be a Sean Brady. It might be a Leon Edwards. It might be somebody around that range.
I feel like Sean Brady is the last guy Carlos Prates wants to see.
Style-wise, he's the last guy probably everybody in this division wants to see, if we're being honest. Like, the way he completely dismantled Leon, like, it's hard to, if you're looking around the division, it's hard to go that that's the one that you want to match up with just because of how relentless his style is. But I think it was not that long ago that Shavkat Rakhmonov was the boogeyman of the division, and this one close fight against Ian Garry has somehow like kind of changed that. I don't know if I'd want to fight him either if I was waiting for it. So
I guess
it's rough.
I guess just in my head, I've just like automatically slotted Shavkat into the next title fight. But then there's that world where
is it Islam?
Where it's like if Islam moves up, it's just like Islam will jump the whole line, and then he's fighting for the title. And it's like, and the funniest part is how congested we talk about it is, and then just at the top of it, if he's able to pull off the upset at UFC 315, it could be Jack Della Maddalena reigning supreme as the king of the division, at least for the time being, which is just hard to fathom when you have just like all these just killers. And not saying that JDM isn't a killer, but just like all these killers.
It feels like he
below.
jumped the line a little bit. Yeah.
You actually mentioned both guys will be calling for a title shot with a win.
Almost certainly.
It just wouldn't surprise me at all, including Ian Garry. And we just talked about Sean Brady. Ian Garry has essentially said that he'll be calling for a title, and that upset our boy Sean Brady.
Yeah, what did Brady
he
have
took
to say
to Instagram this morning and responded via his story with a caption saying, Ian Garry's biggest claim to fame is losing a decision to Shavkat, crying like a baby he didn't get a title shot off a loss, and now is claiming he will get the title if he beats the number 13. Make it make sense. clown face emoji, 0 top 5 wins, calls himself an elite striker, but held on for dear life against MVP.
Okay. For one, that's some good shit talk. For two, I think it's a little bit unfair to Ian. Like, his biggest claim to fame is not losing to Shavkat and then crying about it. But
being an undefeated fighter, stepping in on short notice against Shavkat Rakhmonov and taking him to his first decision of his career in a 5-round fight and it being competitive and close.
And then stepping in against Carlos Prates, another guy who nobody wants to fight. Like, I think Ian has earned himself some respect.
But I do love this.
But it's good shit talk.
I do love this, like Brady kind of busting out of the shell, talking shit.
Oh, 100%. But also, these are the fights to make. You've got Shavkat waiting. He gets next if Islam doesn't come up. If Islam comes up, then you're going to have to wait a little bit if you're Shavkat. Ian Garry, Sean Brady, if Ian wins. Carlos Prates, Leon Edwards, if he wins. There's kind of these paths to like these fights that I think make a lot of sense. There will be guys at the top of the division, like a Joaquin Buckley, where it's like, who do I fight, though? Like, what's an opportunity? Maybe he's a potential opponent for Shavkat if they realize that this is going to take longer to resolve and Islam stepping in. There's a lot that remains to be seen. This fight in particular will have a lot of implications for the winner. I just ultimately don't think they will get a title shot next, but it has a lot of implications in terms of who could be potentially entering that queue, right? Who's going to be the one right behind Shavkat? Is it going to be Brady? If Brady takes a fight against one of these guys, it could become them very quickly if they win. So there's a lot on the line here. I just don't think it's the title.
Do you think either guy's stock falls that much of the loss?
Definitely not Prates because like he's just entering this fray, right? Yeah. Like he's kind of the come out of nowhere Jean Silva type thing where it's like, okay, we're going to find out if you're a real guy against Bryce Mitchell. We found out he's as legit as they come. Paddy Pimblett, we're going to find out if you're a real dude against Michael Chandler. Passed with flying colors. We know this is that fight for him. He hasn't had that fight yet. This is that fight for him. If he gets past Ian Garry, we know he's big time. If he falters, it was his first big time opportunity. You dust him off. You put him against even like a Jeff Neal. You rebook that. You run that, and then you have somebody that you can elevate again after he picks up a few more wins. So I don't think the fall will be far for Prates. For Garry, there's a risk here. And that risk is like you all of a sudden are entering a territory where people are like, yeah, you're not going to be a champ. You're not, whatever the expectations were for you, you're not going to be a champ. If you can't beat the Carloses and the Shavkats of this division, you don't have a shot because there's 3 guys ahead of them even. They're not even the guys holding the title. You've still got Bilal with the title. You've got JDM challenging for a title. You've got Sean Brady up there who just completely dismantled Leon Edwards. It would really look bad for Ian Machado Garry's trajectory if he were to lose here. I will say, though, I think he could get it back relatively quickly, right, with a few big wins.
I mean, I was going to say, like, the one thing going for him if he does lose, obviously, it's tough to go from being an undefeated fighter to then being 15-2, you know, in a matter of months. I mean, Well, just been less than 5 months ago, he was entering that Shavkat fight undefeated. Now he finds himself 15-2 and sort of wondering what's next. He still is only 27. Like, he's got still an incredibly young fighter. At that point, do you do Ian versus Colby?
Yeah, probably, honestly. With a loss, Ian versus Colby makes a ton of sense. You get Ian a bounce-back type fight. You get Colby an opportunity to prove that Ian Garry is as trash as he's been saying he is and fighting the bums and whatever he was saying about him. And if you lose that one, you know, hopefully Colby rides off into the sunset at that point and Ian Machado Garry gets back on track. So I think that fight would make a lot of sense with a loss here, actually. It's a perfect booking.
All right, to the fight itself. Carlos Prates, obviously, he's coming in with a game plan that isn't a secret. He's going to come in, he's going to attempt to strike with you, and he plans on putting you out unconscious at some point. Dana White Contender Series gets a second-round knockout. Now he's 4-0 in the UFC, all coming by way of first or second-round knockout. No surprise what he's going to try to do here. 5 rounds. He's going to try and keep it on the feet. He's going to try and remain in the striking, and he's going to try and find the chin of Ian Garry, something that no one's been able to do yet. Obviously, first loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov comes by way of decision. He's never been finished. Ian Garry, we have seen him use the grappling more recently, and especially Sean Brady pointed it out in that Michael Venom Page fight. He used the grappling to win that 3rd round, to win the fight and remain undefeated. I feel like the best game plan for him here is to utilize that grappling.
Yeah, I imagine this might look pretty similar to that Michael Venom Page fight where it's like he wants to test himself. He wants to see where he is as a striker. He will strike with Carlos Prates, but I do think there will be a point in the fight where he's going to recognize that his easiest path to victory, that his best way to kind of get his offense off is going to be in trying to get those takedowns. Now, I don't know enough about Carlos's takedown defense to know how effective that's going to be, nor do I particularly know about Ian's offensive grappling. He doesn't really use it that much. Most of his fights are primarily striking. We saw it in the third round against Michael Venom Page, but Michael Venom Page is, quite frankly, like not a good defensive grappler. Like that's just the reality of it. He can be taken down, and Ian did. So I don't know where the levels are at. It's going to be interesting to see. I imagine it will get tested, though. I imagine there will be a point in the fight where Ian does try to get it to the ground, or at least is trying to clinch him up against the cage. I was just about to say,
throughout his entire UFC career, he's utilized the clinch.
Yeah, like the clinch is going to happen.
Pushed people up against the cage, just gotten physical with them. And if it turns into takedowns, that's what we're going to have to see. But even if he can't take him down, he might be able to utilize the clinch to negate the range and the lethality. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's
lethalness
no.
of Carlos Prates, and left, right hand, doesn't really matter. If he's able to touch you on the chin, it's probably not going to be a good night. Now, with that said, Caio Borralho said to Ariel Helwani that like he's going to be ready for the grappling, and like you have to imagine if you're training with a 185er who has great grappling,
insane grappling,
in Caio Borralho, you feel like you're probably going to be pretty prepped. You have to imagine, despite Ian Garry's proficiency in the striking, they know that grappling is going to be an option.
Certainly in the striking, I think both are very capable strikers. The big difference is the power, no doubt. Like Ian Machado Garry does not have even close to the power that Carlos Prates has. He is a fight finisher, Carlos Prates. I do wonder, for one, you mentioned a great thing, like training with Caio and other members of that gym. You have to imagine that you've gotten a good amount of rounds in against really, really top-level guys.
I know, God, John Silva, I know he's only a 145er, but he's got the tenacity of a 170.
And they've been talking about how sneaky his grappling is. He has, his teammates have, they've been talking. So you have to imagine that. You also have to imagine that camp in terms of execution and game plans is also elite of the elite. And you have to imagine that they know what the game plan is going to be for Ian, and they know what the game plan is going to be for Carlos. So I think they're going to be well prepared. It's going to be interesting to see if they do clinch up. Is Carlos stronger than Ian? Right? He's going to be big. He's going to be big and strong and powerful. But is he going to have more technique? Is he going to be able to prevent Ian from keeping him in those positions? That is the interesting part of this fight for me, because in open space, I do imagine that Carlos is going to have a slight advantage. I could see a world where Ian's a little bit like Ian's able to get in and out and use his striking pretty decently against Carlos, maybe being a little more busy, being able to kind of win the decision type, but you're really putting yourself in some dangerous positions against a guy who does not need a big opening to finish. And we think about John Silva the same way, right? A lot of the guys from that Fighting Nerds camp, if you give them the little opportunity, they will find a way to capitalize on it. But even look at like Caio's fight against Jared Cannonier. The whole time we're like, he's going to take him down. He's going to take him down. He's going to take him down. The game plan was, no, I'm actually like, I've been training my striking to the point that I'm going to outstrike him and I'm going to show you. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some grappling from Carlos either, or at least like a variety of attacks, a mix of game plan. I just think so highly of that team. I think so highly of that camp. I think so highly of their IQ and their preparation. I don't think it's as simple as like, okay, Carlos is going to walk forward and throw bombs. He's not that guy. He's not as simple as that. Reducing him to that would be a mistake. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a varied game plan from both.
I'm also very curious to see rounds 4 and 5, those championship rounds. If Carlos Prates, obviously, if they make it that far and he can't get the knockout, because he's won 10 straight fights by knockout early on in these fights. It's just like, man, we've been fighting for 15 minutes. It's just like, I haven't been able to find the knockout. Am I going to be able to find it? How is the cardio? Like
you smoke 12 packs a day.
Smoke 12 packs a day. Like we know Ian Garry's cardio is going to be ready to go all 25 minutes. It's just like, at minute 18, like halfway through the 4th round, you haven't found the knockout, and Ian Garry's got you pushed up against the cage. It's just like, I'm very curious to see where he's at mentally, where he's at in the fight, if we do reach that point of it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it as well. It's one of those things, though, that I think, especially when it comes to guys who are early finishers, a lot of times the assumption becomes, well, they are that way because they have no cardio. They are that, like, the whole thing around Dricus du Plessis was, he's this like gas machine because he's always pressing so hard on the gas pedal at the start, and he can't go late. There's always this like counterpoint assumption that like Carlos can't, right? But we don't know that. We have no idea. We're gonna have to find that out. I'm interested to find that out, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Other than the the part that gives me pause is how much he smokes. Certainly, the idea that he's filling his.
I know we love to joke about it, and stuff, but like at some point it has to become like a bit of a concern smoking that much.
Well, there's just this like, what do you do for your cardio? Yeah, like we hear Joe Pyfer being like, yeah, I slept in hyperbaric chambers for 12 weeks. Carlos, what do you do for your cardio? Yeah, I cut from 12 cigarettes a day to 7.
I mean, you hear like Marab, it's just like, yeah, we just went through like insane hard sparring rounds, and then like I turn around and I'm like, where's Marab at? And it's just like, oh, he just went for a 4-mile run. He'll be back soon. It's like Carlos is outside smoking a cig, but don't worry,
he's good.
He only smoked 10 today.
Yeah, he only
smoked 10 today.
So I have some real concerns about it, but at the same time, his best chance to win this fight is going to be early anyway because he's so good there. And because I think Ian is going to be able to probably have some success in the later rounds. Not because I think Carlos is automatically going to fall off a cliff, although I'm not eliminating that possibility. But I know that Ian is going to get what he needs to do done late. He has shown that he's able to do that. In the Shavkat fight, he was there in the later rounds and being successful. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I still don't know enough about Carlos Prates is ultimately where I'm at. I just don't know enough yet.
Can we just talk about the fighting nerds, though? Let's just live in a world where Carlos Prates does get this done. He's able to hand Ian Garry a second consecutive loss. He jumps into the top 10 of the rankings. You then have this guy, Carlos Prates, let's say he wins by knockout, who's just knocking people out, smoking cigarettes, has this just like cool personality aura about him, is a rising star, top 10 rankings in the division. Then you have Caio Borralho, he's number 6 right now in middleweight, who has his own personality. He's kind of the OG nerd with the glasses and everything like that.
Yeah.
Started it all. Mauricio Huffy, you have him not yet in the rankings, but ascending quickly to get there.
Flashy
putting
style,
on
killer KOs.
Crazy knockouts.
Yeah.
And then you have Jean Silva, who's just this madman personality in himself, number 11, but like calling for a title and like the way 145 is breaking, could be fighting for one soon. And then among that big 4, I know there's Bruno Brazil and now Oleksiejczuk has joined it, but the big 4, if he wins, will be 20-0 in the UFC. Like it's like hard to fathom how like quickly this gym has just like become this spectacular force in MMA.
There was a time that there were these like mega gyms, right? There was a time where it was like Jackson Winklejohn had the John Joneses and even GSP. And then there was times that AKA had Cormier, Rockhold, Habib, even before that, Fitch, Koscheck. Like there was an era where it was these like super mega teams and camps, and that era seemed to have like faded away. Now I think American Top Team was kind of like the last remnant of that, just because of how big they were and how many different high caliber athletes they had. But even there's so many coaches, there's so many different like little cliques and factions within it because it's so big. It didn't quite have that same like there's one gym in San Jose and it's AKA and we got these guys. This one is that. This one is harkening back to an old era of those super gyms where it's just like you say fighting nerds, everybody knows. It's that Nova União. It's the shoot the box. Like back in the day, this was what it was. It was okay. If this gym produced this fighter, they've got to be good. And this is the aura that fighting nerds has right now. If you are fighting in that gym, there is an assumption that you are an absolute stone cold killer, and the results are speaking for themselves. Like these guys are.
And I just love how they all ride together. It's just like, Caio comes on the show yesterday, and it's just like, well, where are you at? It's just like, Kansas City, dude. Carlos is fighting this weekend. Jean Silva drops like a video of his weight cut.
Carlos popped up in the back of that interview.
Yeah, which is also the jackets they have are sick. We'll get to those in just a second. Like Jean Silva drops a weight cutting video, and like who's there in the trenches, like massaging his shoulders as he's like in the depths of hell of the weight cut? Caio Borralho, and there's Carlos Prates with him. It's just like incredible how they all ride together, and they're like almost like a family, and it really is incredible. Speaking of incredible, is that what you were about to say?
No, I was going to say, speaking of that team.
Yeah.
Chuck Mindenhall on uncrown.com did a tremendous piece. I don't know if we have a screenshot of that, but go read the piece by Chuck Mindenhall on the Fighting Nerds.
Yeah, so he actually spent some time with them down in Miami, correct?
Yeah.
Combined 24-0 record in the UFC. Brazil's Fighting Nerds have taken.
I mean, look at the art, by the way. How sick is the art here?
I mean, Uncrowned has got to have the best art pound for pound in MMA coverage. Like
sports coverage, it's incredible.
They absolutely kill it, dude. It's just fantastic. It's so good.
But yes, go read that by Chuck, please.
It just came out this morning.
This morning,
just a couple hours ago. I haven't been able to read it yet. I will be reading it tonight. Chuck is poetic. He is a master of the pen. I can't wait to read it. And the fact that he got to spend some time with him makes me believe that it'll be that much better. So check it out as well this weekend. One other thing on the Fighting Nerds.
Yes.
Carlos Prates, one of his biggest fans, Randy, I believe it's Randy Murphy, who's been battling esophageal cancer for the last year, hit up Carlos Prates on IG and was essentially just like, hey, man, like, I'm battling cancer. It's time for me to shave my head. Like, I'm going to UFC Kansas City. I'd be honored if you were able to do it for me. We have the video. So they were able to actually do it. They were able to link up. Carlos Prates is the one that shaved his head. He's like talking a little bit. He's just like, got the baseball, did the first baseball throw. Now I shaved someone's head for the first time.
I mean, you're talking about that jacket, by the way.
Jacket is sick. Fire. It's Venom with the like neon yellow.
I gotta say, I like this way more. Let's invest in more stuff like this than the custom shorts. I don't care about the custom shorts. Shit like this is dope though.
Yeah, it's fire. But yeah, I mean, just incredible stuff from Carlos Prates and the entire Fighting Nerds team.
Yeah, you love to see stuff like this because it would be very easy ahead of like the biggest fight of your life to be like, now's maybe not the time. Let's figure it out. I mean, for what it's worth, he seems like an extremely easygoing guy. But here we see him, taking the Clippers to it. And shout out to Randy, obviously going through a tough time right now. I'm so glad that Carlos was able to do this with him. What an incredible moment that I'm sure he'll remember forever. And so,
I think we have one more picture of them all together, and like they gave Randy his own Fighting Nerds jacket, and they gave him the glasses and everything to rock up with him. Yeah, you can't even tell which one's Randy. He's just a member of the Fighting Nerds.
He's in the Fighting Nerds. That's it.
You could never tell. But man, shout out to those jackets.
Jackets are sick. Holy
sick,
shit.
Man. I need me one of those.
This is the first time in a long time I kind of wanted some like specific MMA
Are they
gear.
for sale? I mean, they're Venom. Like that. I think that's the thing that's popping them off. The fact that they're Venom. Like it almost feels like the UFC hooked them up with them.
Yeah, the yellow and black.
Those
Anderson
are sick.
Silva back in the day vibes.
Shout out to Carlos Prates, though. Shout
incredible.
out to the Fighting Nerds for hooking that up. I know that's a really special moment for him.
Dude, Randy, that makes everything for him, and what an incredible moment. And it seemed like I know we had heard wind of this like last week, right? Because he had sent that message, and then Carlos had responded and said, "Yeah, let's do it in Kansas City." I love it, man. I just love it so much.
Prediction for the fight? Because I really don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know, and it's a bit of a cop-out. And typically, I mean, I'm not known for waffling. I'm not known for sitting on the fence. I tend to say things with my chest and pick. I really just don't know enough about Carlos. I know a lot. I know a lot more about Ian. I know enough about Ian to know that if Carlos is not equipped for more than just those early knockouts, then Ian is going to win this fight. That's all. That's what I do know. If Carlos is not equipped for more than just walking through people, right? If he's not equipped for that long game, if he's not equipped for being in a war with somebody and taking it all the way, I know that Ian is. And I know that Ian is going to be there at the end and win that fight. But I don't know. I don't know anything about Carlos other than I know he's capable of taking guys out quickly. I know he's capable of that. I don't know. I don't think that Ian is. This is a step up. This is a big level of competition jump, and I don't think that Ian is going to be there to just be got like that. But at the same time, the longer that Ian stands with him, the longer that this fight takes place at space, the more opportunities Carlos does have to finish it and find a way. He's just such a freak athlete. He's just such a explosive guy. I could see a world where he catches him. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
I'm with you. I truly don't know either. I'm just going to ride the vibes, though. I'm just going to ride the nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be smart to, and then all of a sudden he's going to beat Ian in 2 rounds, and it's just going to be like we all should have known.
Yeah.
You said it earlier this week.
I think this is one of those classic fights that it's either going to be like he starches Ian Garry, and it's like, of course he did, man. Like he's been blasting everyone's chin into the 4th row. We should have seen this coming. Or Ian Garry's going to be able to get takedowns, going to be able to work the clinch, going to be able to have success in the striking in his own right and be like, man, it was just too big of a step up in competition. Like, we should have known this. Like, all he's been doing is knocking people out. We never saw him go the full 5 rounds. I feel like this is one of those hindsight 2020 type of fights.
Those feel like the likeliest outcomes, right? It's like Ian wins the decision where he ultimately kind of turns it on late and is able to take those rounds. Or Carlos gets them. Those feel like the 2 likeliest outcomes to me.
Sometimes I feel like when I sell myself of like Carlos KO or Ian Garry decision,
then it's something other
than that.
It always happens. Or Carlos has the cardio. Carlos is there,
Yep.
and he just takes 3 rounds from him. And we all look like idiots. But this does feel more like the former, where it's going to be like, we all should have known. We should have known this is exactly how this is going to go. But I don't have a strong lean. I don't have a feel because of how unknown Carlos is, like stepping into this position.
That's what I love. And
It's a great fight.
It's a great fight. It's very closely lined. We don't know what's going to happen, and we're going to get a lot of questions answered on Saturday night. I can't wait for it. I hope the crowd's going to be electric for it. I hope there's big moments, and I hope it delivers, man, because I'm looking forward to it.
I'm really going to enjoy it.
All right, let's roll to the co-main. Anthony Smith in his retirement fight against Ming Yang Zhang. Anthony Smith, Tapology says 59. Sherdog says 59.
Right.
A couple of people say 60. I think he said 64, 65 earlier this week to Helwani. It is his 25th walk to the octagon, but regardless, it will be his last retirement fight. I mean, what can you say about the career? Fought for the title, could have taken the easy way out against Jones and gotten the belt. Said
Crazy
no,
moment.
kept fighting. He's got wins over Volkan Ozdemir, Gustafsson, Shogun. Like he's got big wins in his career. Very, very, very solid career. Like never able to get the title, but still was at that upper echelon of the division. And honestly, at 2-5 in his last 7, I feel like this is a proper time to hang him up. And he's got his podcast, he's got the commentating, he's got plenty of things on the back end of it. But I feel like this is a good time. Focus on his kids, everything like that.
I agree with that, but is this the way you want to go out if you're Anthony Smith? Is this the
Against
matchup
Ming Yang
you
Zhang?
want? Yeah.
No. Because if you're not familiar, Ming Yang Zhang, 18 wins, all 18 coming by way of first-round finish, including 11 straight dating back to 2020. So doesn't lose often. And when he wins, he's usually putting your lights out in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
That guy
feels
that
like
isn't really an established name in the UFC at all.
I don't love the matchup from that perspective. I just don't like. I don't know. Anthony's string of losses and lack of recent success puts you in a tough spot, right? Because there's not a lot of guys you could match him up with that you go like, this is a surefire win for Anthony Smith, or even like a surefire way to come out looking halfway decent and then you just call it a career. There really is no easy way to do that when you're on this type of skid he's on, right? Like the last win was that quick choke against Vitor Petrino, which he snatched up out of nowhere.
And he was a massive underdog.
Before that, it was a split against Ryan Spann where he got nuked at multiple points in that fight and also kind of came back against Ryan. And then it's just been a bunch of red. And so it's a really hard position to be in where I don't love this matchup, but I don't have one that I could just be throwing out there that I feel like is a perfect one for Anthony anyway. So might as well have him go out on his terms. By the way, he seems like the type that's not as concerned about that. He's always been the type of guy that's like, don't worry about me. I'm going to worry about me. I'm going to figure out what I need to do. The outside of criticism, like we saw that extremely tough fight against Glover Teixeira. The teeth are falling out. Everybody's looking at the coaches. Everybody's looking at him and being like, this should have been stopped. Oh my God, heaven forbid, Lord have mercy. And he was just like, nah, I wanted it. It was fine. That's what I wanted. This feels like an Anthony Smith type fight where it's like, yeah, I'm an underdog. I don't give a shit. I'm going to go out there and I'm probably going to try and win. And if I don't, I don't. He doesn't think, he's going to lose. This is not a foregone conclusion for him. He feels like this is a winnable fight for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken it. And so I'm ultimately okay with that. And I think Anthony is too. But it does feel like a guy who's known for coming in as a berserker and icing people quick is not the best matchup for a guy who's on the tail end of the career and has shown to be slower than he used to be, unable to defend himself in the way that he used to, and on this type of skid. So it's hard for me to look at any other outcome other than he gets beat. He gets knocked out.
I know, and it's great that he's fighting in Kansas City, close to home.
But is it great if you're on your back?
That's what I was going to say, if you get finished. Because likely if he loses the fight, he will almost guaranteed be finished. That's how Zhang wins these fights. And right now, Anthony Smith plus 325. So the bookmakers don't believe in him either. But I guess you could take solace in the Vitor Petrino fight.
It was a great win.
Big underdog against the guy that, hasn't proven himself in the UFC.
Anthony Smith doesn't need pity, right? Anthony Smith is a fighter through and through. One of the definitions of a fighter. You talked about how many fights the guy's got. Been in there with everybody. Fought John Jones. Fought for the UFC title against John Jones. He has done everything. He has accomplished everything. He doesn't need concern. But I can't help but feel that way. But at the same time, I do get rubbed wrong sometimes by if he's not concerned, maybe that's the sign that I don't need to force that concern upon him or even other people. Ultimately, this is going to play out the way it's going to play out. Hope everybody comes out of it healthy, and Anthony Smith gets a proper send-off. In a perfect world, you get that Robbie Lawler ending where it's like, yeah, you're probably supposed to lose this fight. You get the knockout, you walk off into the sunset, and everything's great. No disrespect to Ming Yang Zhang. Like, I'm not rooting for him to lose, but I am rooting for Anthony Smith to have a storybook ending. So I guess those two things are in opposition. But yeah, it'd be great to see Anthony Smith have one final moment on the tail end of a fantastic UFC career and get this win and then ride off into the sunset.
We'll see. We'll see come Saturday night. Giga Chikadze taking on David Onama. Man, Giga. Like falling on harder times, like going into that Calvin Kattar bout in 2022 and in January of 2022, it was just like, man, if he wins this one, like we're getting ready to start talking about title fight. Essentially gets beaten pillar to post in that one. Comes out on the losing end. Fought once in 23, fought once in 24, 1-1 in those. And now like we're on the back end of the rankings. We're getting David Onama. We're an underdog to him. If we don't win this one, we're probably out of the rankings. We're only getting older. It's just kind of crazy to see like how fast the sport can move without you.
Yeah, and the thing about it is he's just been inactive, right? He's been out for long stretches, and it's hard to kind of stay sharp against these guys. Like last fight, lost to Arnold Allen. Like Arnold Allen is the cream of the crop. Like if you're somebody who's not in there and sharpening your skills in the octagon on a regular basis, you can understand why you'd have a tough time against an Arnold Allen who is amazing. Now, granted, Arnold Allen's activity could be a little higher himself as well. Like I would like to see him fight more. But ultimately, like, yeah, this could be something where all of a sudden Giga's not a fixture in that division like he was, and maybe Onama kind of becomes a name that elevates into that picture. But strike for strike, like Giga is still as good as anybody in the UFC. Like he, as far as the striking, as far as the kickboxing goes, the dude is insanely elite. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of like a throwback vintage Giga Chikadze performance, but it does seem like the trend, the activity level is not on his side at the moment, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Giga kind of look better than people might expect.
I agree with you. I actually think he's incredibly live to win this fight as an underdog. I think, honestly, like he just avoids getting knocked out or avoids being finished. He can put on a 15-minute like kickboxing class.
Strike for strike, he's better.
David Onama. Yeah, David Onama, like he's never been finished, and I'm not saying Giga's going to finish him or anything, but like, 15 minutes, and it's just like, oh yeah, I think Giga got that 29-28. I could absolutely see that happening.
There's also been some wild ass moments in some David Onama fights. There's been some ones where it didn't look so hot for a while. So yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those that Giga will show up and maybe not be the best version of himself, and people will be like, okay, that was it. It was done. Or he could show up and just be like, yeah, I was inactive. I'm back on track, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to take it. So that's where I'm at.
God, you mentioned that. It's almost been 3 years since that Onama Landwehr fight.
Insane.
One of the most insane fights I've ever watched. I mean, things got hairy. If you haven't seen it, August of 2022, go back and watch that one. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, I think this is going to be a solid fight, and I'm going to say that Giga turns back the clock and gets it done here.
I think so too. I mean, the wins for Onama since that Landwehr loss: Roberto Romero, Jonathan Pierce, Gabriel Santos. Like Giga Chikadze is a massive step up in terms of quality and caliber of fighter. From there, there is a chance though that Giga is a diminished version of that he is not the Giga that we saw in those past fights. But no doubt he will be the hardest competition that David's faced. Yeah,
looking forward to that one. Another one I'm looking forward to: Michel Pereira taking on Abus Magomedov. I mean, at middleweight, Michel, up until fighting Anthony Hernandez, looked tremendous, and I'm not even going to discount him too much. Like Anthony Hernandez is ninth, yes, but like he is a bad matchup for like 90% of the fighters at 185. So I'm not going to discount him too much. And then the losses for Abus, Kyle Bahalio and Sean Strickland, like that's nothing to turn your nose up at either. Like these are two really talented guys, finishing capabilities on both end. We've seen they can also be finished. I just think this is a fight between two high-level guys that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Anthony Hernandez is just a bad matchup for most guys, and I think Michel will be able to get kind of back on track against Abus. But
I mean, his middleweight career before that was 3 fights, 3 minutes, 3 first-round finishes.
Yeah, he's he's a freak. He really is like a very unique specimen in terms of how much energy and momentum he brings into a fight, that pace. And so even like starting the energy in the walkout and dancing every time to the octagon, he's kind of unusual in that way. He's unlike anybody else that I can think of. Maybe Merab. Maybe Merab has an equal amount of energy. But we'll see, like, as the later rounds go on, if he's able to control Abus, because I think he's going to have some success. I think I ultimately favor him in this.
Honestly,
one.
I think he's live for a finish throughout the entire fight, but he's also equipped to go the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Abus, we saw him win by decision, but I still don't fully trust his cardio. Like those first 5 minutes, he's obviously going to be incredibly dangerous, but I think over the course of the 15 minutes, Michel is much better suited.
He got that late choke in the last one that kind of like put a little bit of those concerns away, right? Because against Sean Strickland, it was horrible. It was like, he had one round and oh my God, holy shit, this guy's got nothing else. Like he is done. Because he had Sean Strickland pretty damn bad in a really bad spot and then just couldn't close the deal because he ran out of juice. I think some of those concerns got put away, but ultimately, like, I know Michel can go 3 hard, and I know at the end he's going to be live for a finish, as you said. So I kind of lean that way.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. One that's gotten Harry written all over it, Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I was just going back and looking. Randy Brown, I've always, every time he fights, I'm always just like, man, these fights are just always close. Like if there's no finish. In the last 3 years, he's gone to decision in 5 fights.
Okay.
2 of them have been split decisions. The other 3 were 29-28. It's like they're always close.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, like we love Rude Boy over in these parts, but Nicholas Dalby is like not the guy you want to go against with that, especially when he's in a position of being an underdog. Just his last 4 fights, goes to a split with Renat in his last fight. Unfortunately, loses that one, but a split decision, plus 255 in that one. Before that, Gabe Bonfim finishes him as a plus 455 underdog. Muslim Salikov, before that, wins as a plus 160 underdog. Warley Alves, before that, wins as a plus 110 underdog. And right now, he is sitting at plus 220. Like, this just, to me, this just feels like a spot that has just like Nicholas Dalby split decision victory, Nicholas Dalby 29-28, just like written all over it. It just feels like a fight. Even if Randy Brown does win, it feels like it's going to be very close because Nicholas Dalby, like Randy Brown is not an elite finisher, and Nicholas Dalby has never been finished. He is tough. He has got that dog in him. It just feels like this one's going to be close.
Would you feel differently if he had won that Bryan Battle fight? Because then he would have been on a 4-fight win streak.
Maybe, but he's still fighting.
It was still close. It was still close.
And he probably should have gotten the nod.
He should have gotten the nod in that one, in my opinion. I just feel, look,
so close.
My thing, and I'm with you. Look, the story of Randy Brown's career is like he is extremely talented, but he ends up in these fights where it could go the other way, and then in this Bryan Battle one, it did go the other way, and I'm sure he feels like there are other ones where it didn't go his way that he could have had. But man, Dalby's 40 years old. Like, I just feel like there's some of that magic eventually runs out.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt he is a dog. No doubt he is the guy who steals as an underdog these opportunities away from guys. He has proven to be that guy. We love him for it. I just feel like right now it's Randy Brown's time as coming into, like, he's 34. He's if he's not at the peak of his prime, he's still somewhere in that range of it. I ultimately think he's just more skilled, and I think he will find a way to beat Dalby. And I don't think we're looking at another like jerk job, weird close decision for Randy Brown. I think he will comfortably win a decision in this one.
Honestly, Randy Brown gets the nod in that Bryan Battle fight. He's 8-1 in his last 9, with the only loss being to title challenger Jack Della Maddalena. Like he has had a very successful UFC career. He was saying this week how he still feels like he's not that far from the title.
No, and the problem is what you said, right? Like, it's those close fights.
Yeah.
The way you get to the title is not by having close fights. You have to beat people. You have to finish fights. You have to knock them out. You have to submit them, and you have to build that momentum. The Carlos Prates of the world are the ones who are elevating. Winning close fights is great, and you're building up a nice streak. But as we see with like a guy like Lerone Murphy, who's not even in particularly close fights, all those decisions ultimately don't advance you as fast as a few finishes. 10 decisions is equal to 3 finishes, especially if they're spectacular. Exactly. So while Randy feels like he's in his prime and at his peak right now and feeling like he's not that far from a title, I ultimately probably agree with him, but he needs to show us something. If he can do it against Dalby, that to me would be a real statement. So hopefully he can, and he can figure that out. I do think he's a level above, and I think he'll get it done. Would I be shocked though if Randy Brown's in another close fight and Nicholas Dalby as a dog is finding a way to scrap his way into a fight?
The judges
Absolutely
scored 29-28.
No way.
Brown.
I would not be shocked.
29-28. Dalby. And your winner was split decision. I can just see it.
Would not be shocked. Would not be shocked.
20th octagon walk for Randy Brown.
Crazy.
It's
Great
a lengthy
career,
man.
Yeah.
Lengthy career. All right. Last one we'll talk about on the main card. First one on the main card of the night, Ikram Aliskerov taking on Andre Muniz. First time Aliskerov returns to the octagon since the knockout loss to Robert Whittaker last summer.
Yep.
Andre Muniz feels like it's sort of the fight for Ikram. Like, it's just like we saw him, Dana White Contender Series, 2 UFC fights, big knockouts in the first round. Now you get a guy that, while he has unbelievable grappling in Andre Muniz, doesn't have incredible takedowns to get you down there, and his striking obviously is lacking. If Ikram can stay off his back, it feels like this one is tailor-made for him.
It feels like this is a get-back on track fight for Ikram.
UFC clearly has interest in Ikram Aliskerov. They gave him that Robert Whittaker fight main event in Saudi Arabia 3 fights into his UFC career.
And what we saw ultimately was like a little bit too much too soon, like to step in there against the guy like Robert Whittaker. This feels like a right reset. Look, if it goes to the ground, Muniz is going to be dangerous. No doubt. Like the run he was on, we were talking about this guy is like one of the best grapplers in the UFC. His game got a little bit exposed. We saw in recent fights
he got
that
ground
just
and
like
pounded by Paul Craig.
Even on the ground, he's exposed in certain degrees. It's very specifically his offensive grappling. His defensive grappling isn't as good as his offensive grappling. And his, as you said perfectly, his ability to get you there is pretty limited. His ability to get you to the ground is pretty limited. And so if you are Ikram, you sprawl, you brawl, and you probably win this one.
Ikram also never been subbed in his 17-fight career, has the combat sambo background. It really feels like a matchup that's
style-wise, it's
working in his favor.
Yeah.
15-2. 2 losses being to Robert the Reaper Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev prior to the UFC is not too bad. That's not too bad right there. So yeah, I feel like that's a good spot for Ikram. On the prelims, fireworks.
Let's talk about it.
Matt Schnell, Jimmy Flick. Matt Schnell retired after his last fight in September, if you remember, against Cody Durden.
I actually forgot that.
Well,
he's back.
It's good that you forgot it because he's back, baby. But yeah, not a good run. Just like chin doesn't really seem to be there. 3 straight losses via finish. And honestly, if you go back and if you don't count the no contest against Bontarine, a fight that got overturned after the fact, he has actually been finished in his last 8 losses.
Oh, wow.
And then Flick retired in his own right back in 21. He's been back. But he also has been finished several times. He's been KO'd 6 times in his career, has never KO'd anyone, Jimmy Flick. Flyweights, 50 combined professional fights between them, 25 apiece. 41 have not gone to the scorecards. For flyweights, that is insane.
Sick.
If real ones know flyweight unders, this is the one you want to bet on.
This is a flyweight under.
Yeah, I mean, this just feels like someone's getting put out. It's going to be fun until someone's not awake anymore.
Yeah, these are 2 action guys. Like, they want to come in and they want to finish fights, and obviously I expect that to happen. Now, do you have a lean in it?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you're Schnell, I feel like you want to just stay standing. I know you've had the chin issues, but it's just like Jimmy Flick has 0 KOs. Like, go ahead and just like try and uncork this, especially with him having lost 6 times by KO, Jimmy Flick, that is. And if it goes to the ground, like Matt Schnell he knows what he's doing on the ground. He's seen it. But man, a dude who has been finished, like I said, in his last 8 losses, and then including 3 straight losses by finish. And I want to say it's 4 of his last 5. And he's like minus 325. I just I don't love that. I would lean Schnell, but would never place Matt Schnell at this point in his career at minus 300 or something in a parlay.
I think Flick is live here. Like, I don't know if I'm all over it, but to your point, it feels like if this is a dog or pass situation. Like, Flick, unlike Muniz, I feel like Flick actually does have some like relatively interesting ways to get fights to the ground, even if it's jumping something. And I also think Schnell is the right opponent for that, because I think Schnell feels comfortable in those positions and might let him kind of play around with it a little bit, as opposed to seeing it as imminent danger, keep him off, keep it standing, let me strike with him. He might just want to mess with it and go to it. So I could actually see a world where Flick is able to get it done. like you though, I do lean like the game plan, if Schnell can execute it, is prevent him from getting in on anything and just throw the hands until he falls down. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. But I could just see a world where Schnell wants to play. Like Schnell wants to like grapple maybe a little bit or see something. So he might put himself in danger. Dog or pass for sure. Finish for sure.
Schnell, the owner of the greatest fight I've seen in person,
Insane.
UFC Long Island back in 2022. Him against Sumerdarji. God, legendary fight. The arena, just the roars during that one was just incredible. Incredible comeback win for him. So good to see him back this weekend. That should be a fun one. Chris Gutierrez, John Castaneda. This sounds like just like a leg kick warfare, insanely close decision. Like you're not really certain who won coming out of it.
This is one of the like high level, low level fights. Like it's lower on the card, but super high level guys.
Yeah.
I like this fight a lot.
I don't really have a lean either way. I guess I'd say Chris Gutierrez, just with the activity on the feet, but I mean, it could go either way. John Castaneda could go to the wrestling. It should be fun regardless. Damon Blackshear, Alatang Hey Lee. He's looked great the last 2 times out. He's nasty on the ground. I mean, if it gets to the mat, like he's going to have a massive advantage. And then on the feet, like it's pretty close to even. But then Damon Blackshear is 5 inches taller, 7 inches of reach. Like he's just going to be so much bigger in there than Alatang Hey Lee. I feel like this is a good matchup for Damon to get another win.
Yeah, I'm just wondering at this point, what can Alatang Hey Lee do to him that Cody Gibson didn't try to do to him in the first round?
And Cody Gibson is like the same size as Damon Blackshear.
Yeah, and Damon survived it and then found a way to win as he does. So yeah, I feel like this is Damon's fight.
Cameron Simon, Malcolm Wellmaker, our very own Pizza Carol, massive fan of one Malcolm Wellmaker. He'll probably get into that on the crack tomorrow. But how about Cameron Simon? Starts his career in the UFC 3-0, undefeated, is looking good. You know, DDP's on his run. It's like South African MMA on fire. And then he gets matched up with C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez, and then Peyton Talbot after that. And now he gets Malcolm Wellmaker, who's undefeated, making his UFC debut.
He put himself in a spot to get before that, Terrence Mitchell. Like he's put himself in a spot to fight these type of fights, but it feels like he needs one here. It feels like
he could use another Terrence Mitchell fight at this point.
Yeah, that would be the one. But I feel like, I don't know. This is somebody that a lot of people were high on. Now, granted, the start to it was a little bit rocky because some of the strikes and people were complaining about controversial things that were happening in the fights. Ultimately, then I think he cleared that, and now he's at this rough patch. But against like cream of the crop type like prospects. But he needs a win. He desperately needs a win here.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets it done on Saturday. Last one I want to touch on, Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. This feels like a nice spot for Amorim.
Yeah. What is she, like minus?
Minus like 900. It's ballooned. It was like minus 350 like a week ago.
Oh, boy, if you got in at minus 350, God bless.
Dumping. It'd be clutch if you got in early. Just bad spot. I just feel like this one's going to the mat at some point.
Yeah.
From there, Amorim's going to be able to get the finish.
This feels like a showcase for Amorim.
Feels like Polyana can't have too many more fights. I mean, I guess she mixes in the wins once in a while.
3 fights ago, she won. You know, and also like Lucindo, Jillian Robertson. These are top fighters. Win over Jinyu Fry. So,
the Jinyu Fry knocked her out in 45 seconds.
If she's gonna fight, if she's gonna fight the cream of the crop, she's not gonna win those fights. She's not gonna look good. But against like the start of the opening fight of the night type talent, I think she can hang around for
on the roster.
Yeah.
You'll always have a fan in me, Polyana. Shout out. All right, that's UFC Kansas City. Good card.
Jocelyn Edwards versus Chelsea Chandler kicking it off.
Oh, I know you've been chomping at the bit for that one. Jocelyn Edwards minus 300. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Chelsea Chandler, Jocelyn Edwards, Kuwamba Romero, Amorim Polyana Viana. And then Big Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. Look at these graphics, man. I mean, are we pros or are we friggin' pros around here?
I'm really excited for this one. Schnell versus Flick is
just like sit your ass down and watch this one, man. You're going to watch 2 guys that are 125 pounds scrap. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to these prelims, man. I'm looking forward to this whole card. Kansas City, going to be hyped up. And then the main card. That Ikram Aliskerov kicking it off is nice. This whole main card is nice, man. Michel versus Abus, Giga versus David Onama, Anthony Smith, Zhang Mingyang in the co-main, and then the main event, the fireworks. Ian Machado Garry taking on Carlos Prates. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, it's a good little card.
Love a fight that I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen.
Same. That's the only thing that gets me excited these days. If I feel like I know what's gonna happen, it kind of kills some of my excitement. This one has the feel of I don't know what we're getting, but I'm excited to find out, and I love that feeling.
All right.
Yep.
Let's move forward.
It's time.
Feels like you've been waiting for this moment, not just the fight on Saturday, but like this moment right here as we turn our attention from Kansas City across the pond
to the biggest fight in British boxing.
Biggest fight in British boxing. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 65,000 seat stadium, completely sold out. Comes Saturday afternoon here in the States, Saturday night over there in London. Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Conor Benn. What's the excitement level at right now?
We're at like an 8.5.
Okay.
We're growing. I think I was at an 8 earlier in the week, maybe a 7 even. We're starting to grow because now we're seeing them, right? We saw the grand arrivals. We're going to see the press conference. We're starting to get more of the fight week activities. But in addition to that, as the fight gets closer, you can kind of feel that tension ratcheting up. This is not one of those fights where it's like, I want to see the press conference because I want to see what lines they have to say. These two guys do not like each other. Their families do not like each other. In the case of Chris Eubank Jr., his own family may not even like him, and his father, unfortunately, having some pretty horrible things to say about him. There is a lot of drama here. There is a lot more on the line here. There is legacy on the line, and there is familial ties, and there is a lot more in this than just the standard like fight. Just the matchup between two boxers. Couple that with the impact that this could have on the boxing scene, the impact it can have for British boxing, the impact of what potential fights either of these two guys could get after this on the heels of such a massive draw and payday, what names you would be talking about fighting next. There's a lot to love here. So much so that like I can try to say it, but I think the best way to kind of introduce this is from words by Eddie Hearn, who sold this better than I could ever sell.
I was just going to say, you give us the sales pitch, and then let's hear Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn was talking to IFL TV. I believe this was last night, and they just off the cuff said, "Why should we buy this? Why should we buy this pay-per-view?" Yep. Let's go to that and listen to the man work, the maestro, sell it to you.
If people want to buy this fight, why should they buy it?
A sigh.
On Saturday night at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we reminisce, we revisit the greatest rivalry in the history of British boxing. Two of our finest pugilists, Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn. They gave us two of the most epic fights in this generation of British boxing. On Saturday night, we revisit. We're not at Old Trafford like Ben Eubank 2. We're at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's sold out. 65,000 people. The controversy of the first fight, two world-ranked fighters in their respective divisions, but more importantly, their father's sons. An opportunity to settle the score for the Benn family. This is not Eubank Benn. This is Eubank Benn 3. This is an epic moment for British boxing and a narrative that will never ever be repeated in the history of our great sport. Every generation alive in this country knows Eubank and Benn. The older generation know the fathers. The middle generation, like myself, know both sets, and the younger generation know Chris and they know Conor. On Saturday night, you will get a fight built out of rivalry, built out of ego, but more importantly, built out of family pride and legacy. One of the greatest moments in the history of our sport in this country. The biggest fight in Britain this year, a fight that will have ramifications globally across the planet, a fight that will make, in my opinion, Conor Benn the biggest star in British boxing and potentially on a global level. This fight is a crossroads fight. Chris Eubank Jr., 35 years of age, at the end of his career. Conor Benn coming into the prime. A welterweight stepping up against a middleweight. What will happen? Nobody knows. And that's the beauty of this fight. A tremendous fight with two names that resonate with every household and every family in this country. Do not miss, live and exclusive on the home of boxing, DAZN. An opportunity. There is even a link in the IFL bio. This is a pay-per-view you must not miss. Saturday night, it's on. Eubank Benn, a moment for the sport we will never forget.
Can we just show some appreciation for Eddie Hearn there? I mean, the way
so
that he just
the sigh,
and then looks directly into the camera. I don't know if he blinked that entire time. Like, it was almost like he was reading off a teleprompter, but obviously he wasn't. His eyes weren't moving an inch. That's just what he does. But like, I don't know how you can't be excited for it at that. And he's like, go buy the pay-per-view. It's a Turkey a la Chic production, you know, Fatal Fury, everything like that.
Yeah.
$24.99 here in the States.
Yeah,
$24.99.
$24.99.
I sound like I'm trying to sell it to you now.
But if you don't get goosebumps, if you don't, when Eddie says that, when he talks about generational rivalry, when he talks about this is not Eubank versus Ben, this is Eubank versus Ben 3.
That was such a bar.
It's such a lot.
Great. That was great by him.
What's crazy is so much in the fight game we have to sell. We have Eddie, like, certainly there's some sales there, right? Like,
of
Eddie
course.
Hearn, the Conor Benn is going to be the biggest star in British boxing. Eddie Hearn represents Conor Benn.
This is a crossroads fight. Eubank is at the end of his career.
Yeah, there's certainly
Conor Benn entering his prime.
There's certainly some sales in there, even down to the home of global boxing. DAZN, buy it. There's a link in the bio.
Link in the IFL TV bio.
The part that you do not have to sell, the part that is beyond sales, the part that is beyond, like, who should headline you at International Fight Week? Because is this guy a big enough name? Are they going to sell pay-per-views? You do not have to sell true animosity. You do not have to sell true hatred. You do not have to sell a story where my father fought your father. How crazy is that as a storyline? You could talk all the shit you want on Twitter. You can do this. You could do that. You can't sell this guy popped hot in the previous booking that we had, blamed it on eggs, and I slapped him with an egg. There are some things that go beyond just the theatrics of the fight game and go onto true animosity, true hatred, wanting to hurt your fellow man in a way that this fight represents that other fights cannot. You buy the true dislike between them because their fathers had it. And then the first fight was sold, the first booking, because the fight ultimately did not happen between Chris and Conor, was sold on the fathers. That was the entire sell of that fight. It was the fathers fought, now we're fighting. It worked because that's such a great storyline, but you did not feel that Chris and Conor were at each other's throats. Once Conor tested positive and the fight was canceled and then the true rivalry began, the story took a jump to a whole new level because now you have the rivalry between them two. They have their own beef that is beyond just I have to avenge my father's honor. I have to represent my family and represent my legacy. And honestly, quite frankly, if you're Chris Jr., are you trying to do anything for your father's legacy? Is that even a concern of you, or is it only I'm my own man because of the way that the relationship with his father has gone? There's so much here. There's so much to unpack. There's so much true drama beyond just the bullshit theatrics of the fight game that you can't not watch this. It is just such incredible theater. And then we have, commentary from Chris. We have Senior talking about his son. Actually,
right, Nigel is going to be there with Conor Benn.
That's right.
The father of Conor Benn will be there. Chris Eubank Sr. is not going to be there. He's saying words of vitriol to his own son. After the X-Lap, this is what he had to say about Chris Eubank Jr.
Junior, you're smashing an egg against this guy's face. I taught you that. I didn't teach you that. Who taught you that? Did Karen teach you that? Who taught you that? That's just graceful. I'm gonna stand in your corner. You must be mad. You must be mad. I would never be in your corner. You're a disgrace. You're smashing an egg in someone's face, and then you're saying you're trying to justify it. There's no justification for that. There's nothing noble about that.
It's pretty heartbreaking to hear that. I obviously don't know the intricacies, the details of their relationship and why they had the falling out that they had. But to hear a father call his son a disgrace over fight building, essentially, like it was, you can call it what it is, but like he smashed the egg on it because of Conor Benn testing positive for a PED, as you can see it there in slow motion. Eddie Hearn, getting some backlash of the yoke there, smashes the egg on his head because he tested positive for PEDs, and Conor Benn was like, I'm eating too many eggs. That's essentially what they blamed it on. He's building the fight, and he's doing something like that. To call your own son a disgrace because of that, that's sad to see.
It does go back further than that. And I have some insight into, you said you don't know much about, so there was a point where Chris was trained by his father. And then there was a point after that where Chris decided, I want to do this on my own, or I want to bring in other people and make them my primary coaches. I'm my own man. In fact, Chris Sr. Said that Junior wrote him a letter that basically said, I'm the man now. I make my decisions. And ultimately, you're going to have to take a back seat. And this hurt Senior, this hurt his father, to the point that he now doesn't want to be associated with him. Now, as Chris Jr., I keep saying Chris Jr. came on the show with Ariel and said, like, the relationship's not great with his father. He is the reason we are, not linking up. He doesn't want to. Ultimately, though, from Senior's perspective, Chris is the one that told him off. Chris Jr. is the one that told him, hey, I'm the man now, I don't need you, and penned him a letter to essentially say that. There's so much drama there. There's so much intricacy there. You have to also put yourself in the mindset of, like, Chris Jr., as I said, so much of this appeal is like our fathers fought. Eddie Hearn saying this is number 3, but you're not in a good place with your father. Do you care about your father's legacy? Do you care about the Eubank name at the moment? Now you have this rivalry with Conor Benn that you have to go into. And then when you look across the ring, you're going to see Nigel Benn there. When you go to this press conference, you're going to see Nigel Benn there. There's so much here. There's so much meat on the bone. There's so much interesting parts of this fight and the build to this and the tension between the two. I just don't see how you can't get invested in it. Even if you're not British. I'm not British. I don't care about the biggest fight in British boxing. I care about the fight itself.
And you mentioned it, like seeing Conor and Nigel together and being a constant reminder of, like, my dad isn't there. And he actually said this week, Chris Eubank said, of course, Chris Eubank Jr., obviously, of course I've told him that I want him there. I've told him what it means, but he doesn't seem to care, or he doesn't seem to understand. Nigel Benn gets it. His son is in the biggest fight of his career, and he's with him. My father doesn't get it. What can you do? It's like, you can tell that it also hurts Chris Eubank Jr. a little bit, your own father not coming there. And just like the vitriol with which Senior was speaking in that video, it wasn't just like, nah, man, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, it was just like looking in the camera and like gritting his teeth and being like, you're a disgrace. Like, you're a disgrace. I didn't teach you any of that. Just adds to the drama. And I mean, like, you go back, there's Senior and Junior there, and then we also have a picture of Conor Benn and Nigel Benn, just like they've been around this for so long. They've been in this mix. It's just wild. I mean, just like the fact that it's their fathers fought, and like we're not talking about they fought on the prelims of a PFL card, and they were both like 15-8. Like, these guys fought at the highest level. They were fighting for world titles when they fought each other, and they put on absolute wars. One ending by a 9th round TKO, the other ending by a split draw. Just like massive fights, not only for British boxing but just the world of boxing.
But the high watermark for British boxing, like the fights that people continue to talk about, is the best in British boxing.
And now their sons have both reached an elite level of boxing, and now they are going to fight on Saturday. It's hard to wrap your head around, like an MMA equivalent of that. Imagine two guys who fought for a title twice, 2 title fights, and then their sons go on to fight each other in the UFC.
No, it's crazy. Like, the closest, I guess, equivalent in modern sports right now is like the fact that Bronny and Braun are playing on the same team. Now there's like you can understand why that's so significant, but no, this is unparalleled. Eddie Hearn said we'll never see it again. I guess I don't know, because at some point in history this could happen. Hell, maybe Chris and Conor's children will end up fighting one day, and they'll just continue the trend of this. I don't know if you can definitively say it'll never happen again. I would be shocked if something like this ever happens again, but I can't say for sure. But ultimately, the idea of how intertwined their fathers were and now how intertwined they are, you have to imagine that this does not end here, right? No matter who wins, I can't imagine that the other one is going to be satisfied with the idea of losing to that person, right? If Conor Benn beats Chris Eubank Jr., I can't imagine he's sitting there going, oh, I'm okay with it. I'm moving on with the rest of my career. I'm sure that I'm not sure. I imagine that this is going to happen again. I imagine that there's going to be a world where this makes so much money and the idea of losing to that guy is going to sit so. I'll say, especially on the Conor side, I can't imagine Conor taking it well if he loses to Chris Eubank, especially because of how Eubank has treated it, the theatrics, even so far as when the first fight was canceled, the fighters on that card did not get their pay because that fight just never materialized. Chris, in an act of Chris Jr. in an act of gamesmanship, actually wired money to each of the fighters from that card.
Yeah, and I want to say it was like 4,000 British pounds.
I think it was
like
five.
It was a decent amount of money. Obviously, like just a bit of backstory. If you've been living under a rock in the world of combat sports, like obviously Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn fought in 1990 and 1993. Then they were supposed to fight in 2022. That's when Conor Benn pops for the banned substance. He blames it on overeating eggs, and that's what caused it. Cancels the fight in 2022. None of the fighters that were supposed to fight on that card end up getting paid. So now as we come to this rematch or rebooking of the fight, Chris Eubank Jr. decided to make it right, and out of his own pocket, pay for those fighters' purses, or at least part of their purses on that one. I mean, look at that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fighters, and he paid each of them 3,571 Great British pounds.
Yeah, and not only that, there were some that didn't want to give him the bank details.
He said maybe they will now.
So he said maybe now that I've shown I paid them. But here's the gamesmanship, right? After my first scheduled bout with Conor Benn got canceled, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom never compensated anyone for their training camp, which never sat well with me. So here's a little something to help out the undercard fighters. So even in something magnanimous, even in doing a great deed, Chris is aware of the game and playing the game a little bit and making a way to...
If you go into that tweet, there's a couple of people that are just like, why do you need to tweet about it? It's just like, because that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, I'm doing them a favor and like I want them to see some money from it, but it's like, that's the whole point. I want to make Hearn and Conor Benn to be the bad guys in this situation.
And he's done it well, and he justified the egg slap thing. You know, his father called it a disgrace, and as you pointed out, it's selling the fight. But there is a modicum of virtue in what he said about it, especially when he came on the show. He spoke to Ariel. He said that he wants people to never forget that Conor Benn is a cheater. The egg was representative of the idea of like this excuse that he had. And again, I don't want to get into the like. Conor Benn.
Chris Eubank says apparently egg contamination was the reason for his 2 failed drug tests, so I contaminated him with an egg.
You know. I felt like Conor Benn was actually hard done because of how long the process took to play out, and I think this idea of like you should never fight, just silly. But I do think there's something to the idea of Chris feeling like Conor Benn is a cheater, and I'm not saying that is my position. I'm saying that is his position. Conor Benn is a cheater, and it should not be forgotten, regardless of what happens in this fight, regardless of what happens in the build, regardless of who comes out victorious. This moment, this egg slap, you will remember, and you will remember that was the reason why I slapped him with an egg, was because of what he said the excuse was for why he tested positive. And so I understand where he was coming from, and I understand why he'd want to make that significant and make that a moment. There's so many layers, there's so much drama that is attached to this. It can't help but make for a great fight. I wonder ultimately what in terms of the fight itself, Eddie Hearn mentioned the hydration stipulations that are going to be in play.
Yeah, so Conor Benn typically fights, I believe, at 148, and Chris Eubank Jr. fights at 160. That's where the fight will be taking place, and then they have a rehydration clause in place that you can't weigh in at over 170 the morning of the fight.
Yeah, and in the first fight, I believe the fight was contracted, the first booking, I keep calling it a fight. The fight never happened, but in the first booking, I believe it was contracted to 157, and I believe that Eubank was not going to be able to go above 66, 67, somewhere in that range. And that was a significant talking point because that's a low weight for Chris Eubank Jr. to get down to, and that gives Conor Benn an advantage, in my opinion. This 160 and then to 170, I think, is significantly more favorable to Chris Eubank Jr. And for what it's worth, I think because of how long this fight came to put together, and because of the fact that Conor had that positive test that derailed the first fight, Chris should have that concession. Chris should be allowed to have a little bit of a higher weight, and we'll see if Conor Benn can adapt to the challenge. I am a little bit concerned about the size discrepancy. I am concerned that Chris is just ultimately going to be too big for Conor. One thing that lessens my concerns a little bit is the fact that we learned today that the ring is going to be smaller in the fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, and I think that's going to favor. I think that's going to favor Conor because I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities. Look, like style-wise, there's no mistaking that Conor Benn is a pure aggression fighter. Like he is going to come forward and he's going to wing some shots in there and try to take you out. With the bigger ring, Chris is going to have more opportunities to circle, more ways to find angles. I imagine that's going to be an advantage for Conor in that he's going to be able to press Chris a little bit more. The problem that I potentially foresee with a smaller ring is you also might be getting pressed by Chris if you're Conor Benn, right? If he's closing that space and he's in there with Conor, and Conor doesn't have that ability to close the distance and explode because Chris is too close to him, a lot of that ferocity and that explosive power kind of gets minimized, right? If Chris is able to put him in a corner and lean on him, I don't know how well Conor Benn's going to be able to do against a much bigger man. Chris is just going to be bigger than him in there. So it could work in his favor, but it also could be a detriment if it gets to a situation where all of a sudden Chris is the one who's closing that distance, closing that space, and essentially not letting you get your punches off because he's crowding you so much. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an 18-foot ring this weekend. And yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff. I do think that the size is just going to be too much. Obviously, he's 3 inches bigger, but man, he's just going to be so much actually like thicker, more muscular, just a bigger guy. I think he already has the more power, even if they were just fighting at the exact same like weight class, pound for pound fight. Like I think Chris Eubank Jr. just has more power naturally than Conor Benn does, and then fighting at his own natural weight class, I think he's just guaranteed to have more power. I think he just has more lethal punches in there. So I just feel like the size is going to be too much of an advantage. And he's also on top of that, like the experience, like the guys that Eubank Jr. has fought, Liam Smith twice. I just feel like he's going to have the advantage in this one. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, and we saw Conor fight at a higher weight in his last few bouts. Now, granted, it was under.
I mean, it was fraught, at the Caribe Royale.
It was under fraught circumstances where this was that period where he was still under suspension by the BBOC and was trying to fight in America because they would license him. He was also dealing with some, personal issues. He talked about how in such a depression when he spoke to Ariel. He talked about the what a rough time he was having at that time. So I don't know how much to make of that. But I'm with you that I favor Chris in the fight. I think he's going to be too big. But if anybody can find him, it's going to be Conor Benn, who, as I said, is a pit bull. He's going to put his head down, and he's really going to try to finish Chris. Ultimately, will he be successful there? I'm not sure. What's the most likely outcome from a betting perspective at the moment? Is it a Chris finish?
Let me tell you right now. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly like crazy to even think about it that like he's going to be going from the ballroom at the Cosmopolitan and the Caribe Royale to a completely sold out Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Insane.
Like you're going from a couple of fans watching you to 65,000 people watching you. In terms of odds, Junior by KO is plus 145. Benn by KO is plus 210. Junior by decision is plus 280. Benn by decision is plus 650.
Yeah, so they're expecting that Chris too big, Conor can't get to him, and all of a sudden in the later rounds, like maybe Chris is able to finish him. I think that's possible. I also think there's a world where Chris is just. I think there's a world where Conor can see the bell. I think there's a world where Conor can get to the end and Chris might win by decision. But all outcomes, I do just think the size difference is going to be massive. But I'm so interested in the idea of can Conor Benn find him, and if he does, what is that offense going to look like? I love this fight, man. I love the build. I love the fight itself. I'm super excited. And to Eddie's point, while he was selling a little bit in that promo that we showed, this is the tail end of Chris Eubank Jr.'s career. This will be the last couple of fights of his career.
He's 35.
And so, at a certain point, you do start to fade. You do start to diminish your skills. I will say, in his last fight, he looked great. So I'm not anticipating that. But there is a reality where all of a sudden you are longer in the tooth and your reflexes are a little bit slower, and all of a sudden you can be there to be caught. So we'll see what ultimately happens. I think he's too big, but I think Conor Benn is such a pit bull that he's going to find a way to at least put him in some rough spots early.
I can't wait for it. And
it's so sick, man.
It's just perfect that it's going to be happening like right around.
If you're not excited for this, like what can you be excited for at this point?
In the fight game, especially.
Yeah, in the fight.
One last thing on it, I did want to point out one sick jacket that Chris Eubank Jr. got. It looks like it's from the brand NG, but the script and like the font within it is the canvas with Chris Eubank Jr.'s blood on it.
Yeah,
like the gray-ish in the NG, and then it's in your blood are canvas with Chris Eubank Jr.'s blood on it.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Pretty sick jacket. Pretty sick jacket for him. And a sick fight. Can't wait for it. I think the crowd is going to be absolutely insane. I think it's going to be loud. I think people are going to be on their feet. I think all of Britain is going to be on hold for this one. And I think it really is going to send shockwaves through the boxing world.
It feels like one of those. I don't think it's hitting America too much if you're outside the boxing space, right? It's not hitting mainstream American media.
Yeah, my boys aren't coming over and being like, yo, let's watch Eubank Benn.
100% not. I think it is hitting American combat sports people, right? If you are a combat sports person, I think you're aware of this fight going on and you know the drama here and you're interested in it. The whole saga when Benn tested positive and that fight was off was covered like moment to moment, minute to minute. There was a new update, the test, the BBOC says this. There was all that stuff, and people kind of followed that story. And so I think this is the culmination of that. But in the UK, it has reached mainstream. In the UK, it will be viewed by all those boxing fans. It is a supernova over there. It is the biggest fight in British boxing. Until perhaps Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua maybe lock horns later this year or ever if they do. But until then, this is going to be the higher watermark. This is going to be the biggest fight in British boxing.
It's going to be fantastic. Let's stay over in Europe. One last event that I wanted to talk about, KSW 105. You're getting the welterweight title fight, but more importantly, the co-main event, Eddie Hall taking on Mariusz Pudzianowski in the world's strongest fight, they're saying. A super heavyweight clash, no weight limit. Eddie Hall currently saying he is 350 pounds. Let's get some pictures up of these guys. I mean, it's just it's daunting how big these dudes are. They're terrifyingly big.
Oh my God.
Just like that isn't like strong. That is like terrifying.
You think anybody wants to debate that world's strongest fight point? You think anybody wants to say, well, actually, it's something else? Because I don't think there's any other contenders.
Hoss. I mean, and these dudes are going to come in and bang. So if you don't know, it is just because of the size of them, just because of the experience of them. It is 2 4-minute rounds taking place. Pooj, obviously, he's been around.
He's fought MMA forever.
He's fought forever. This is going to be Eddie Hall's like first foray into an actual mixed martial arts fight.
I was going to say, so he hasn't fought a real one-on-one fight, right?
Well, there was one.
No, but that's not a real fight.
I mean, we do have the highlight of that. If you don't know who Eddie Hall is, here he is against the Nafati brothers. Watch the KO. There it is. We got to run this back one more time, just so the people can see it. He gets the body slam and then immediately gets the KO. Here we go. All right, body slam. Now watch, bro. Get up, and flatlined. Completely flatlined. The fight is over. I do like how it was just like he had to get one out. And that's in round 3. So he had to survive 2 rounds before that. And it was getting into the waning moments. Who knows if the Nafati brothers are going to pull off a decision win there. But yeah, that was the World Freak Fight League. This is KSW. This is a real mixed martial arts fight against a guy who has mixed martial arts experience. Pooj is like minus 450 right now. Rightfully so, in my opinion.
Well, Pooj was supposed to be like a bit of like an attraction sideshow type thing, and then ended up having a full, real MMA career. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for this one. It's just like
it's such a spectacle.
Turn it on. It's a spectacle. KSW is a spectacle in itself.
100%.
Like their production value is just like them in Octagon. It's like that European, like as they're walking out, you're doing the tilted camera like it's Spider-Man in 2002. It's fantastic. I really can't wait for it. So your Saturday is stacked.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, we got the schedule for you. I kind of tried to give a rough estimate of these things. Noon, you start off both cards, KSW 105 and Eubank Benn. You can kind of have that on the background throughout the afternoon. If you got to go run some errands, maybe if you want to hang out by the pool, if you got good weather, that's when you do it. But around 4:30 is when you want to get locked in. Expected ring walk time for Eddie Hall versus Pudzianowski is at 4:45. Then, like, once that ends, I can't imagine it's going to last long. There's only 8 minutes of fight time, and I'm not sure it's going to go the full 8 minutes. You settle in for the welterweight title fight. You're getting that on that card as well, as both their names escape me. I'm not going to sit here and act like an Adrian Bartosinski versus Andre Grebke. I probably butchered the shit out of both of those, but it is still a title fight in KSW. You can kind of have that as an appetizer as everything's going on over in London, and Eubank and Benn are getting ready to make their ring walk. Expected walkout time there, 5:30 Eastern. And then as that fight is crescendoing into its later moments, oh yeah, prelims are kicking off for UFC Kansas City, and that'll just take us through the rest of the evening. Saturday evening, sorted.
Lock in.
Done, dusted, lock in. You're going to need multi-screens for like a couple points just to have it. Maybe an iPad on the side if you need to. But I mean, it's great. This is what you ask for as a fight fan.
It's the best. It's going to be great. I really, really love. I mean, I don't have to say I love Eubank versus Benn. Everybody knows my position on that one. But I also really, really love Garry versus Prates. Like I love that fight, and I think it's going to be great. It's such a fantastic fight night.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Springtime too. Can't wait. Give me a Saturday. But before we get to Saturday, we got to make some picks. Parlay pals and bets. No recap. No big hitters. Obviously, because there was no big UFC card, no big PFL card. Well, I guess there was a PFL card, but I didn't bet anything last week, and I don't think a ton of people did. So no recaps for this weekend. Before we get to that, Parlay pals got to throw into the randomizer. Randomizer having a hard time cranking up here. There it goes. And Frank, we haven't heard from you yet, but you will go first. Rick will go second. I will go third. Pete, I mentioned he was a Malcolm Wellmaker fan. That is actually his parlay pick for this weekend. Yeah, he's a diehard. He is an M-dub diehard. Pete Carroll is. So Frank, you kick us off.
Yeah, this one. There's so many to pick from, but there's only one for me, and that's going to be Chris Eubank.
Chris Eubank, shout out. Too big, eh?
Too big.
All right.
Too big, too big, too fast, too pretty. All right. I'll take Michel. Give me Michel.
Michel Pereira. Minus 142, minus 170, minus 130 on all three of y'all's picks so far.
Oh, this is going to be a tasty little parlay.
I'll take a chalky-ass pick, though.
What do you got?
Give me Anthony Smith, Ming Yang Zhang, under 2.5. I think whoever comes out victorious is going to end up winning that one by finish. And that gets us to plus 479. Plus 479
All right, let's get
on
into
that
the black here.
Love to see it.
If we win, we're in the black. We're in the green with the dub.
Let's
do 2.5 units. Remember that one time Frank changed his pick at the last second tire?
Look, man.
Yeah.
We had a winner.
I'll see you at the top.
And he turned it into a loser.
He wasn't at the top when I was there.
Yeah, he sure wasn't. Alas, we live and die with you, Frankie, so it's all right.
I appreciate it.
No.
And I think Mike Chandler appreciates it too.
Shout out to Mike Chandler, legend, man. I will see him at the top.
Regular caller of the show, friend of the show.
With a couple cram sandwiches in my hand. All right, I got some picks for this weekend. Let's get into them. First up, Chris Eubank Jr. I'm going heavy on him. I've placed two.
Oh, wow, 6 units.
Been placed two different wagers on him. Minus 175. They moved it up to minus 170. Yeah, man, I really do. I just think he's going to be too big. I think the experience that he has. I mentioned the two Liam Smith fights, the George Groves fight, the Arthur Abraham fight. It's just level of competition that I don't think Conor Benn has seen yet in his career. Combine that with the size, combine that with the power. I don't think the rehydration clause is a cause for concern. I still think he's just going to be that much bigger when he gets in there. And also just like, he seems so cerebral. He seems so calm. He seems so focused on the task at hand in the lead up. I think this one is Chris Eubank Jr.'s to lose. That's the only pick I have for the boxing card. Over to the UFC, Michel Pereira. I'm with you, man.
Love it.
I'm not taking a ton away from the Anthony Hernandez loss. I really do think Fluffy is just a nightmare for most of the division. And before that, Michel Pereira was looking great at middleweight. 3-0, 3 fights, 3 minutes of fight time. And he gets a matchup, in my opinion, that he can get a finish. He's live for a finish throughout the 15 minutes. And I also think he's live for a decision win where I don't think Avis has as many paths to victory. I think Michel bounces back, gets one in the win column here, and gets it done. Then we go over to the main event. I don't know what's going to happen, but I've been looking to smoke a dart for a while, and what better way to do it than by celebrating a Carlos Prates victory. We got the smoke detectors in here? Do we got the smoke detectors in here? Almost lit it, actually, by accident. But yeah, hopefully we're ripping heaters on Saturday for one Carlos Prates. Truly, this is one that it's just a vibes bet.
So,
I don't know what's going to happen. Smoke them if you got them on Saturday night. I can tell you that much. But that'll do it for the singles on the UFC card. I do have 3 parlays. I mentioned it earlier. Jacqueline Amaram, nice if you got in early. Got her at minus 470. Also got her again at minus 550 before she ballooned to minus 800. And then Damon Blackshear, I hit him the same. Love Polyana. Big Polyana fan, but Amarin just not a good matchup for her. I think this one goes to the mat at some point, and she ends up finishing her. And then for Blackshear, you could probably say it's even on the feet, but the size differential for Damon Blackshear is going to be massive. And then once it gets to the mat, I think they're in different worlds, and I think Blackshear can get it done there. 2 prop parlays for you, a violence and a pacifist. The violence, Schnell flick under 2.5. If you get into the stats on this one, 8 of his last 10 under 2.5 for Matt Schnell. And then flick 15 straight before the Nate Maness fight did not go to a decision. I like that to go short. Aliskerov, in his UFC career, 3 first-round knockouts, including the Contender Series. I don't think Muniz is equipped on the feet with him. I think he's going to get another knockout on this one. And then the Mingyang Zhang versus Anthony Smith fight. Zhang, 24 pro fights, 1 decision, 1 third round in his entire career. And then Anthony Smith, yeah, I could see this being like the vet that goes to a decision with him, but like 59 registered pro fights on Tapology, 51 have not gone to a decision. I just imagine someone is going to get gotten in that one. And then the pacifist parlay, Edwards Chandler, over 2.5. Edwards, 9 UFC fights, all over the 2.5. Chandler has never been finished. 4 of the last 5 have gone to a decision. Brown and Dalby. Brown, 13 of 19 in the UFC, over 1.5. Dalby, 18 of 20, over 1.5. And Dalby's never been finished. I don't really see Randy Brown as an elite finisher.
Let's stay on the mic.
This one goes longer. And then last but not least, the Chris Gutierrez Castaneda fight, over 1.5. 12 of 13. Chris Gutierrez, over 1.5. 12 of his last 13. And John Castaneda, 10 of his last 11. Over 1.5. So there are the bets. There's the stats. There's the reasoning to back them up. It should be a fantastic Saturday, and I can't wait for it.
After you get a few units and you celebrate with one of those, you know?
If Carlos Prates wins, down units or not, I'm bringing these bad boys home, and they're getting lit up.
Carton's on you, yeah?
Carton's on me, baby. Cigs inside. That's what we always say. Cigs inside on Saturday.
How many cigarettes in a carton?
20? No.
Well, 200, yeah.
210 packs?
10 packs of 20 each, 200 cigarettes.
Man, they're taxing those cig smokers here in New York these days. I'll tell you what, man.
The trick is you bring them from another state.
I love how now you're of the culture. You're like us, cig smokers.
Hey, man, GC, and the C stands for cigarette, okay? Since when did we get rid of the ashtray on the desk? I thought that was mandatory.
The floor is the ashtray.
You fucking Frankie, you're talking cigs inside language right now. The floor is the ashtray. Just put that out there,
and
get it as far away from you as possible.
It has to be Marlboro Reds, or what do we?
That's Carlos's cigarette of choice. So I support the brand. I support the Nightmare. Okay?
Camel Turkish Silvers.
Frank, are you like a smoker? You're like
Frank told me he used to smoke 2 packs a day.
Oh crap!
No. I said 2 lighters a day.
You would go through what?
2 lighters.
So how many cigarettes is that?
I mean, I could get through 6 packs of 1 lighter.
Oh my God, 12 packs a day. He's a regular Carlos Prates.
You did actually used to smoke, though, Frankie.
I
Yes.
did, yeah.
A retiree.
A retiree. Some things just never go away, you know?
It just feels like you're running a professional broadcast when you got a cigarette in your hand. I'm telling you.
I mean, they used to
professional
smoke on the
anything.
news.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Yeah,
saw
it
a
feels
video
like we should
that
just
went
be having a meeting talking about something important right now, and I'm giving a harrowing opinion right now.
On r/OSHA, they were showing this guy like rigging up an oil rig while smoking a cigarette. And they're
boy.
like, oh, I bet OSHA would love this. I'm like, OSHA could sit the fuck down. Guy's busy. Professional.
Wait, but what happens at the end of this video? Nothing bad, yes?
No, nothing bad. I mean, he was just like, I should show you the video. It's cool. Like, this is somebody who knows how to do their job, knows how to get the cigarette in the mouth and do his job. Like, leave him alone. Let him cook. Now, maybe poor choice of words if that fire goes on.
What if Carlos Prates was smoking in the octagon? What if he just had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth while he's lighting something?
A la Benson Henderson with the toothpick? I mean, could you imagine some guy coming to knock you out and he's just like...
I mean, if anybody could do it, it's Carlos. Oh,
great. It'd be great
incredible
stuff.
I love how much we promote smoking now.
I mean, listen.
Thank you for smoking.
I don't see any Surgeon General warning on here.
Joe Surgeon General's warning.
Never mind. I do see a Surgeon General warning. Smoking by pregnant women. Not me.
What are you going to get? Low birth weight? Like,
may result in fetal injury, premature birth, and low birth weight.
You're smoking the right brand.
Yeah. I think I think over in Europe they have like the pictures of
like
like the most metal that you could get. Like if I'm gonna smoke a heater, I want to see something metal like that.
Yeah.
All right,
let's go to our pound for pound rankings.
Yeah,
here.
let's do it.
Everyone ask your SIGs and let's lock back in. Pound for pound rankings this week. So because it's Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., and it's the Fatal Fury card, which is an up and coming fighting video game, what we're gonna do is rank our top 5 favorite fighting video games. I am very much looking forward to this one. What's the order?
Who's giving us the order?
So the order for today is we're gonna start with me.
Okay.
Then we're gonna go to Rick.
Okay.
And then we'll finish off with Connor.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hit us, Frankie.
So my number 1 is actually giving some love to the SNK, which is the company that's putting out Fatal Fury, but it's Samurai Showdown. This is one of the all-time favorites. It's actually from SNK. It was on their MVS system, which, if you don't know, it's an arcade thing. And then they had the AES at home. Very expensive product, but like, just look at these graphics.
Wow, the
here.
speed
Like
on
the
this is
pixels
crazy.
are insane. You got the ref in the back with the flags. I wish that the UFC would integrate this. You know, like anytime someone does an awesome hit, just wave the flag. If you haven't played this, I highly recommend it. It is as fast as you're seeing it now. The action is nonstop.
You know that I love the cut to the empty chair. The flags is part of martial arts, right? You know that.
Oh yeah. Thanks, man.
At karate tournaments, they
They have the flags.
Yeah.
Do they dress up like ninjas too?
No, they're not dressed like.
I think
ninjas.
Goddard would do it.
That'd be sick.
He's like, he probably has one. He's like, one day they're gonna let me wear this.
Karate Combat.
Coming in at my number 4. This one is from SquareSoft, now known as Square Enix, but it was one of the few fighting games they came out with. Yeah, they Bushido Blade. Now, what's cool about this one? It's 3D. It's gonna look a little rough around the edges, but the point is that I love about this, it's with weapons, is that you can one-hit kill your opponent, just like you would in an actual sword fight. So like combos, all that stuff that was made popular by Killer Instinct and all that, that's great. But just one good hit with the sword, bam, they're
Wait,
done.
time out. So the game is whoever gets the first hit wins?
No, like it has to be a good fatal hit, right?
Okay.
So you have to have a nice opening, but if you time it right and you hit him, bam, it's done.
Can you do like blocking and stuff?
You can
though, as
block.
well? Okay.
You can run around
So
and
who's
try
that-
to avoid getting hit.
Who's that
on the
woman
bridge?
and like on the bridge in the Gray River there?
That's
at
like the
end?
cut scene because that person in that
Died.
replay had already like beat the story or something.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
But,
Interesting.
just like you would do, you'd sword someone down and you walk away on a bridge.
I
Okay.
played a lot of fighting games as a kid, and I don't know these two.
There's
Leave it to
2
Frankie
Bushido
to
blades.
find them.
Yeah, they're
yeah. Frank's gonna get
SquareSoft.
a lot of applause from like the real
Hardcores?
niche
Yeah.
hardcores.
I mean,
I like it.
if they
I'm
know,
in.
they know. Coming in at number 3, this is from the Super Famicom. If those don't know, that's the Super Nintendo in Japan. This is from the Gundam Wing franchise, but it's actually called Gundam Wing Endless Duel. So if you took like Street Fighter and you did the
sick.
the sprites with the Gundams, and you have
Oh,
like
wow.
their lit up swords and scythes, and then you have the machine guns. Oh my god, it's crazy. You can pull combos off.
This has to be sped. Okay, this is sped up.
No, this is not sped
No,
up.
it is. I'm looking at the time. It's moving.
No, time moves faster when you're playing Gundam Wing Endless Duel, man. Like, come on. It's a blast. I actually own a copy of this. If you guys ever want to get down, bring
What-
some six.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
do you
whenever
do?
you, oh, Frankie, I mean, whenever you invite us over, that'd be great.
What do you play it on? What do you own it on?
I own a Super Famicom. Come on, what are you talking about?
What is Super Famicom? Why do I know?
Did
the
I
name,
just
but I don't know
explain
what-
that it's the Super Nintendo in Japan? Like I'm really upset.
What makes it different than Super Nintendo?
It is the Super Nintendo in Japan. It actually looks different too.
You said that again,
you have that
but
in
I'm still not understanding.
You have that in your apartment?
So I don't know if you know this.
If I took a Super Nintendo and I went to Japan, is that now a Famicom?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What is it? What makes it different?
I know right now we're all about a global market, this and that, but it used to be that regions had their own thing, right? Okay. So the Nintendo Entertainment System that we know here in the United States was actually called the Famicom in Japan, which is like family computer. So when they did the second generation of the Famicom, it was the Super Famicom. However, when they were marketing it in the United States, they're like, well, we're going to call it the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. So they call it the SNES or SNES, right? However, the look of the system itself, like they had changed the design when they brought it to the United States. But Europe and Japan actually have this more sleek, rounded corners. The controller has multicolors on it. It's not just the gray and the purple. These days we don't really get that. Like regionally, we don't have like separate machines. Like if you get a PS5 here, it's the same PS5 in Japan.
Game selection wise, is it different or the same?
Absolutely different. So like the case of this Gundam game, it never saw a release in the North America.
Oh, okay, wow. Cool. So you have that.
Have that, yeah.
Wow.
And you'll notice
part
what's
was
cool.
He invited us over and said, bring SIGs.
Yeah.
Bring SIGs.
It's going to be ripping SIGs.
Ripping
playing
SIGs.
Gundam, just like...
Coming in at my number 2. This one's a mouthful, but bear with me. Yeah. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix.
Sick.
I fucking love this game.
Okay.
Like, I know we all grew up playing Super Street Fighter 2, or just Street Fighter 2, or maybe even Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But when the Xbox 360, I think this GIF got screwed up, the Xbox 360 and the PS3 came out with the HD graphics, the good guys over at Capcom are like, let's do something that has an HD remix. But they kept it sped up as much as they could, so it's Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, which I just love the fact that they were like, yeah, that's fine. The title's fine. I'm surprised it actually fit on this graphic. I told Jordan, I'm like, this might be a little tough. He's like, it'll be on 2 lines, but I think we could squeeze it in there. But
so help me understand, Frank. I know Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Okay.
What is HD Remix? They've just upgraded the graphics?
So yeah, all of the pixel art has now been done in high definition. So if you can we play it one more time
sprites.
if it's not a problem?
Wait,
if you look at it,
actually it? This is it?
This is it. This is the actual footage.
Okay,
so these sprites are in high def.
A mistake, so I wasn't sure.
It's just shorter than it should have been.
But it does look good.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
It looks
also,
amazing.
Good on you for getting GIFs, man. I only got pictures.
And, you know, like Jordan turned to me, he's like, man, can't you do something, you know, better than the picture? I was like, I got you.
Wow.
Speaking of got you, my number 1 is Dead or Alive 2 for the Sega Dreamcast. This is where I cut my teeth on fighting games. This one has a great roster. You just watch this footage for a second. You're just kicking, doing the throws, got some combos going out here, and then before you know, bam, through the window, you fall into the match. I love it. This game is a popular franchise actually done by Team Ninja. They're the ones who did like Ninja Gaiden and all that on the Xbox. One of my favorite games, again, for the combos, the throws, the counters, everything else you could do. The franchise is carried on, but my favorite is still Dead or Alive 2. It's what I used to play in high school. And to be honest, I still play it from time to time.
I love that.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't played a single one of those games.
Did you
know?
I'm taking your word for it.
Speed up the GIFs on purpose, or is that just how they work?
I'm not surprised if some of the devices around here just speed GIFs up.
Okay. Yeah, it was going very fast. Looked great, though. Dead or Alive, I remember that being on like Dreamcast. I think there was one, right?
That the Dead or Alive 2 was on Dreamcast.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it, but I don't think I got many reps in with it.
Yeah, you know.
All right, Rick.
I like your list. I like your list a lot. Good job, Frankie. All right, we're gonna start off number 5. I kind of picked a lot of my favorite franchises, and then I picked like what my favorite ones within the franchises are. So we're gonna start this with an all-time classic franchise. That is, we're gonna start with Mortal Kombat, and we're gonna go to Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Okay.
Big Mortal Kombat guy.
Same.
Love Mortal Kombat.
Love it.
The blood, the guts, the fatalities. Nothing was better than you beat the guy and you've memorized the sequence and you can do the little toasty scream. Just loved all the elements of Mortal Kombat. It felt like the more like edgy, aggressive fighting game at the time when the other ones were like not a lot of blood, and this one was just like, no, we're gonna lean the opposite direction. We're gonna go into it. Why Trilogy? Is because it had the crazy roster. So like there was Mortal Kombat 2, even Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, we've got now every character they had so far. Like every character that has been in Mortal Kombat now exists in this game. Plus, they added the ability to play as Goro, Kintaro, Shao Kahn, which were like the bosses from previous games.
Oh yeah, shout out Shao Kahn.
Chameleon, Rain, Noob Saibot, the first iteration of Noob Saibot as a playable character. And all these characters that had been like little scenes or bosses or whatever are now playable. Different skins for all the cyborgs and different skins for like the Scorpion, Sub-Zero, who else? Reptile, all those guys. So incredible. Most of the Mortal Kombats to me were pretty comparable, but the roster, the expansion of how many different characters were available for this one was what made it incredible. Plus, it was one I played very regularly. So I think I had this on PlayStation or maybe PS2. I'm forgetting now.
It was probably PlayStation.
Probably PlayStation 1. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Great one great installment in the franchise. Crazy roster.
Do you know where Noob Saibot got his name?
Yeah, it's Tobias Boone backwards. It's one of the
there you go, yeah.
creators.
Boone and John Tobias.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Number 4. Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Or Melee, the one on the GameCube. Right? Melee.
I say Melee, so I'm going to continue to say Melee. Again, there's not like bad entries in this franchise. Most of these are pretty incredible. You can pick your favorite Super Smash Brothers. I felt like this one, I played 64 more, but I felt like this was a better game. I felt like this one on GameCube ended up being the better game. Again, crazy roster, like so many different characters you could choose from. I also felt like competitively, this is the one that I know that most of the like pro gamers play because of the controls and the accuracy to which the movements are made and the ability for people to get their skill set off with the individual characters. So I felt like this was the best one that I had played and the best one that a lot of the competitive players played. Really enjoyed it. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the Super Smash Bros. Games. They're all incredible. As I said, 64 was more my lane. I did go onto GameCube and try this one for quite a bit. I played this a lot, but I probably played 64 more. Liked this one better. Then after this, I did not play another one after that. So
Confession, I slept on Melee. I know it's like highly regarded by the
you went from 64 to what's the next one?
I mean, I think the next time I played it was on the Wii.
Wii. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't even remember the name of that. I'm the same way. 64 was like, that was enough for me.
That was the classic one. But I really enjoyed this one a lot. Number 3. Again, I'm just playing the hits. I'm going to my franchises and my favorite from them. Tekken 3. Tekken 3. Now, I want to say this. Shout out to Tekken Tag Tournament, which is actually the one, as I said, like last with Super Smash Bros. I probably played 64 on Smash Bros. I probably played Tekken Tag Tournament more than I played Tekken 3, but Tekken 3 had a lot of plays out of me. What was so special about this one? It just felt so ahead of its time. The graphics at the time, the movement, the speed at the time, and most importantly, the debut of Eddie Gordo, the number 1 cheese character in all of fighting games. There is no cheesier character than Eddie Gordo.
Awesome, though.
If you have not seen him, he's the green and yellow outfitted Brazilian doing capoeira, where all you had to do was spam buttons, and he's doing like somersaults, flips, doing the kicks under the hands type thing. He really was the cheesiest video game character ever because you did not have to know how to play these video games at all. All you had to do was press buttons, and you could win every single game because Eddie Gordo was that cheese. Shout out to Eddie Gordo and all the people who played him. Actually, no. If you played Eddie Gordo, you're a loser because you are a cheese master, but when I played him, it was great. All right.
Tekken on arcade. Someone
I was
played
just
Eddie.
about to say, when I see Tekken, I think of like arcade.
I played more on console. I have played it on arcade, but I played more on console for Tekken.
When I played it on arcade, someone beat me with Eddie.
Of course they did.
And then to dunk even further, they reached into their pocket, grabbed 50 cents, and handed it to me.
Yeah. You're gonna.
It's like apparently like an unwritten thing where it's like, I know I defeated you so bad. Here, kid. Yeah. You didn't lose any money.
Practicing, bro.
Next time you just pick Eddie. All right. Number 2. Now this one I played more at home, but I mean, okay, this is kind of cheating. I'm picking number 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, not the HD version that Frank played. Never played it. I also like the sprites. Like I like the graphics from that era. I like it not being like updated to HD. It's kind of cheating because like you could pick any version of Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. All these are iconic. They are the video game basis for fighting games. They are the thing that everything beyond them is based on. They are kind of that gold standard. This one in particular, though, was the one for me, because I played it a lot, but B, because of the debut of the most iconic character in the series for me and the one that I always played, which is Akuma. And he was on the graphics and on the box art. He's the best. He's my favorite character because I was a fan. I liked Ken and Ryu. I liked their style. I liked them, but they kind of felt a little cheesy to me. They needed that dark edge. Akuma was the best, and then he had such an incredible finisher.
It's a solid list.
Shout out to Akuma. Shout out to Super Street Fighter 2.
Shout out to you, man.
Thank you.
Shout out to you, Frank.
Shout out to you, Frank. It's good vibes in here. All right, number one.
Light up a cigarette.
Come get one, bro.
Can I have one? Like with a lot of my pound for pounds, I always feel pretty good about my number one. I'm always pretty solid in that because I know what I like the best. And I'm like, all right, that's my number one. Number one here, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is the one. This is it.
This is a list and a half, man.
This is the arcade one. This is the one that I barely played at home because I wanted to play so bad on the joysticks and play at the arcade. I mean, the concept at the time for me as a youngster of like, wait, you're telling me the Street Fighter guys are facing off with my favorite comic book characters? Oh, and by the way, each of them have these crazy unique skill sets, have these crazy unique moves. Plus, we're getting the hyper combos. Plus, the animations are like some of the best we've seen at that time. This is the gold standard for me. Like the whole series of Marvel vs. Capcom, I think is quite great. I think a lot of people like later versions as well. I do believe that 2 is the one that has prevailed and sustained throughout time. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like if you didn't spend $15 a week in quarters on this at the arcade, like you weren't living. This was the one. I would imagine that some people would say this is not a super well balanced game because there's a lot of characters that people like to play and were probably the best in the game. I really like to try out new characters and play all of them. I spent a lot of money on this game. Love this game. Arcade banger. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. If you don't fuck with it, I don't fuck with you.
Shout out. I love how you hold the cigarette like a magic wand.
Well, that's because I was
holding it like a pencil.
Yeah, literally hold it like a pencil. That's a solid list, man. Both of y'all's a solid list. I've played most of the games that are on yours. I had never played any of Frank's, but I mean, I game respect game. So shout out to Frankie for his. All right, mine's gonna be different than y'all's. Wasn't like the biggest fighting game guy growing up. All of these games I've obviously played, or they wouldn't have made my list. And I'll kind of give you the timeline on like how I got to loving it. But I'm actually gonna start with a real like competitive sport fighting game, and I'm going to go with Fight Night Champions. Some people are going to be like, oh yeah, 2004, round 3, round 4 is their favorite. I recently ripped through this on Xbox One. There was just a download for it, and I was like, you know what? I'll play it. Story mode is great. Andre Bishop, you go to jail, and then like you work your way all the way through the ranks. The Isaac Frost championship fight is a bitch. Love the story mode. Love playing online. Only one that I ever got to play online. I didn't really, obviously in 2004 you can't, but then round 3, round 4, I wasn't really playing like that. So Fight Night Champion. I thought about maybe some of the UFC games, but the UFC games I really only like the storyline. Or the story mode, career mode, anytime I ever got online, I got my ass beat. Fight Night Champion though. Shout out.
Can I propose something?
Please go ahead.
Is this a sports game?
Oh, is it a sports game? Okay, as opposed to a fighting game.
It's a fighting game. Come on.
It's a boxing game. It's a sport boxing game.
I'm gonna accept, but I do.
Would UFC 5 have counted?
I think of those as sports games. If I'm honest.
Wow.
I mean, by that argument, Super Smash Brothers is a sports game.
Why? What sport is that?
Fighting. Mixed martial arts.
Okay, moving on.
All right, moving on to number 4. We're gonna get into the fighting games now. I guess if that was a sports game.
I'm getting your head. It was fine.
Soul Calibur 2. This is like my elementary school right here. You got my guy Link. I'm a massive Zelda fan. You got my guy Link on the cover, even though he wasn't a great character. Shout out Ivy. Shout out Zhang Hua. I mean, just like this.
You got Zelda in there?
Oh yeah, got Link in there. Shout out to him. Weapons master mode. You could just go pimp out your character, get him the best outfits, get him the best weapons, everything like that, and then you could go beat your friend's ass. But yeah, I mean, huge fan of. There's a lot of good Soul Caliburs. I played a couple on Xbox. Never liked them as much as the GameCube version. Soul Calibur 2. Me and my brothers used to run through this like crazy. Number 3. This is like a nostalgia play. This is like me being a fan of the show, but they finally made a decent fighting game for it. Although the story mode was ass. The multiplayer mode was good enough for it to make my list. Dragon Ball Fighter Z was just a DBZ mark my whole life growing up. There was never really a good one. This one came out. It kind of fulfilled that. Great character list. You got Goku, Gohan, all the androids, Beerus, Jinyu. You got the Cell. You got Boo. You got Trunks.
Is that Goku?
Yes, that is one edition of Goku. They got
Why is
Goku.
he wearing the black? What is that?
Oh, so this is like teams. You're like changing the clothes for the teams. Like you can have multiplayer team matchups.
Like you would in a sport.
Yeah, well, almost like Super Smash a little bit.
Also a sport.
Yeah, it was just it was a game that me and my friends loved that were also DBZ fans. But yeah, you got like it, and also I love the animation. Like it almost looked like the cartoon.
It does.
Like,
it looks
the animation was great. Obviously you got the combos. It was sort of like a Mortal Kombat-esque, like the 2D sort of like track view fighting. It was great. I loved it. Shout out to it. Next up though, speaking of Mortal Kombat, this was me and my boy's favorite growing up. Mortal Kombat. That was the name of it. It was actually Mortal Kombat 9, the one that came out in 2011. Wow.
Sick.
Mortal Kombat, spelling it wrong on the graphic there, but we'll let it slide. The complete edition. Me and my boys used to just run through this like crazy. Right around the age you start cracking some beers at the sleepovers. You run through the Mortal Kombat. Kratos was like a special character in this one.
Shit,
God of
for real?
War. The Shao Kahn final boss was a bitch in this one. It would take us like 20 tries to get through it.
There was one where they had like Michael Myers and Jason.
Yeah.
Is this one?
No. That was that Mortal Kombat 11?
I don't know.
That was a much more recent one because I had that one and you could play.
I saw 9 and 11 come up a lot in best Mortal Kombat lists. A lot.
9 was like came out at the perfect time for like because like Soul Calibur is much less violent. Like my parents weren't. When Soul Calibur came out, I was like 11. Ivy may be a little bit questionable at that point, but like Mortal Kombat, like my parents weren't letting me play that except for like the really old school ones. Like the one that came out in 2011 was perfect time. I was 18, 17. Me and my boys just running through it. It was great. So like that was my first one into like you get the fatalities where the heart gets ripped out and like
crazy graphics.
So yeah, that one came out at the perfect time and it also happened to be a fantastic Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat, shout out. But my number one, it's essentially it's a franchise. It doesn't matter which one you're choosing. I'm down to run it. N64, GameCube, Wii, even up into the Switch. I have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate just because I am under the belief that like the nostalgia hits you and you're just like, oh no, the N64 version was actually the best. And then you go back and play the N64. I did this with Mario Kart the other week. You play the N64 version and then you jump to the modern day version. And you're like, oh my gosh, the modern day version.
What is this one for?
This is for Switch.
Okay.
And you got like 59 characters.
Holy
it's
shit.
absolutely insane.
Sonic.
The death. Oh yeah. You got Sonic. You got Mewtwo gets added for the Pokemon. You got a Minecraft
Pac-Man.
character on there. Pac-Man. Like it's just insane the amount of Cloud. Shout out to Final Fantasy. Mega Man's in there.
Wait, is that
Pokemon
Kazuya
Trainer.
from Tekken?
Yes, it
There's
is.
so many characters I can't even see them.
It's on the bottom row.
I think
That's
Banjo
crazy.
Kazooie is in there. King K. Rool from Donkey Kong.
Steve.
Shout out to Steve, man.
Who's Steve?
Steve is from Minecraft.
Okay.
You just have
DDP
so
was
many
talking about him the other
characters. You have so many course choices. The graphics are better. Any of the Super Smash I'm down for, but Super Smash is Ultimate, especially just because of the depth of it.
Wait, how many people can play that at once? How many
online? It's like 6 to 8. It's like
at a time?
Yeah, you can like
Holy
really get
shit.
going. And then like you can also link up where you're playing on the Switch while people are playing on a big screen. It's fantastic, man. I mean, you can. We used
Is
to
that
think,
too crazy when there's like 8 people in there?
Depends how many friends you got over, man. And this is like we would run Brawl. You guys were talking about the Wii one. Like we would run Brawl in college a ton. But like this has been like the kind of post-college, just like let it rip. I haven't played Ultimate as much as I played. Melee was the one I played the most. That was like I was 10 when it came out, and like you would do the glitch to play as the master hand. Like it was just like it was the shit. But like
He's with who is it? Kirby.
Oh yeah,
Suck people in and jump off the stage.
Yeah, I mean the way that the game evolved though, it's just fantastic. Super Smash is just like so much nostalgia. I have so many moments like on the N64 with my brothers, so many with Melee with my boys in high school, with Brawl and my friends in college. Just like is a game that I still play to this day. It's like you got 5-6 people over. It's just like you guys want to run some Smash? Entered a tournament one time when I was younger and got my ass beat. I was like, I'm sick at Smash. I wasn't sick.
Yeah, you learn the levels.
Yeah, you think you're good, and then you go.
You meet people who play this for a living.
Yeah. Pay to enter and everything. Just
you might as well burned it.
Yeah. Also, if you want to know how to play, I don't know how you guys play. I am a no time 5 stock on the multiplayer.
What's the default?
The default, I think, when you first go into it is like 2-minute time. I'm 5 stock, no time limit.
2-minute time in terms of what?
Like there's how many kills you can rack up is like how you're gonna win. Like you have to go in and set it. I don't think anyone really plays that way. The way I play is stock 5 lives.
Yeah. When we used to, or when I played, it was just lives, and then when you run out, it's over.
Yeah, that's stock.
Okay, stock. Yeah. 5? Was it 5? I don't remember what the default was.
I go 5. I go 5.
What I like about Smash and why I think it's such a great franchise and such an enduring franchise is the learning curve is a lot less steep than a lot of these other ones. Like if you pick up a controller and try to play Tekken right now, you're not gonna do anything. You're gonna get your ass beat unless you're playing as Eddie Gordo. Or if you tried to pick up like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 right now, you're not gonna know how to do that. Hell, you might not even know how to do a Hadouken or a Shoryuken from Street Fighter right now. So Smash, you can kind of find your way because the control scheme is so much simpler. I like the less steep learning curve for Smash. It's just easy to pick up and have fun.
And there's just like so many characters that just like kids can have fun with.
Mortal Kombat's probably the hardest one to just like pick up a controller and go.
But yeah,
I had Soul Calibur 2 as my honorable mention.
Shout out.
It's so good. So good. I played that a lot in the arcade. Did we hit Virtua Fighter? Did we play
Virtua
that?
Fighter is cool. It just wasn't cool enough in my list.
I think we all have good lists.
What about Killer Instinct? Did that one ever?
I mentioned it. I also like it.
Makes sense that like there was really no overlap like Smash on
Me and Frank had the same game in the same spot, except he had the bullshit like
I had the better
upgraded
version.
graphics for the sprites from the original are better than the smooth.
I admit that's an aesthetic. And that's something I do like as well. That's why Samurai Showdown's on there. But
Frank, you're pixelated yourself, and you don't appreciate.
I know,
pixelated.
It's a skin condition, right? So that's a good point. When I play Street Fighter, I feel like I'm just playing with a bunch of people's skin conditions.
All right,
that was fun. That was good.
That one was fun. It was fun to go down memory lane and think about all the video games I've played over the course of my life. But yeah, shout out. I'm sure people have their own opinions or feel strongly about that one.
I feel confident. I feel like people will say I know ball on this one, but we'll see. No, maybe they'll hate on me.
We actually lost subscribers after you.
I would imagine we did. I would imagine some people were gonna be like, oh no, Melee's the best. Dragon Ball Budokai, all the different. I
totally
Mortal
missed
Kombats.
all the Dragon Ball fight game era. I didn't know I just missed those. I was probably playing like first person shooters when those came out.
Yeah.
And just that was the last stuff I played. I just missed that whole thing. But I was like a Dragon Ball Z fan. If it came out a little bit earlier, I probably would have been all over those.
Shout out. All right. Voicemails, Frankie?
Yeah.
Voicemails!
By the way, can we throw up the number for people to call to leave us a voicemail? You can leave it anytime. You can leave it right now. It's a rolling list. So if you call right now, there's a potential that we will listen to this voicemail next week on the show, but just continue to call. It is always open. You can always leave us a voicemail at 415-SUP-BITB. So give us a call. Number 1. Let's hit the first voicemail.
Boys, how we doing? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Shout out.
Just wanted to say, got a couple questions for you. First one. What movies are critically acclaimed that you absolutely hate? The reason I'm asking, Wes Anderson created the worst movie, The Grand Budapest Hotel, hyped up, absolutely the worst movie I've ever seen. So what movie is critically acclaimed that you guys can't stand? Second question, how bad does Carlos Prates flatline the sausage Ian Garry? Thanks, boys.
Don't know how bad he flatlines him, but I got my Nightmare shirt on.
And the Siggy.
Shout out to Full Violence with the Carlos Prates on the back. You know, shout out. We got our Marlboro Reds, so we're supporting. We'll see if he knocks him out. Critically acclaimed movies, though. I love the take on the.
Wait, well, what do you feel about the take on Grand Budapest?
Well, I love that because I've never seen it. I've only seen one Wes Anderson film. Frankie dragged me to it, Meteor City, Asteroid City. It was ass. That was ass.
I was going to say, if you're going to go Wes Anderson sucks, like that's what I would point to.
So you start with Asteroid.
Yeah, and for him to hate Grand Budapest Hotel when everyone tells me how good it is, it shows me that, Wes Anderson, he's an aesthetic. He's a flash in the pan.
Oh, wow. All right.
Critically acclaimed movie that I hate. I did not like Midsummer. And a lot of people.
What?
Yeah, see, there they go.
What?
There they go. I know Frankie just threw something in the control room.
Spit on your desk.
Yeah, it didn't do much for me.
So was there just not enough of everything?
I just found it to be kind of weird. I didn't find it to be that exciting.
Ari Aster, that's his vibe.
Well, we're going down the list of critically acclaimed movies that we didn't like.
Here we go, Frank. Say it. Say it, Frank.
All right. Look, I did not like Interstellar. Doesn't mean I don't have the potential to like it. I probably need to watch it again. As of this moment, right now, I can't fucking stand it.
Arrival is better than Interstellar.
Arrival was 10 times better. You put Amy Adams in Interstellar, I probably would be like, that's the greatest movie I've ever seen.
I don't need to say anything. There's no point in arguing with ignorance. It's a dumb thing to do. I mean, we just heard the take on Midsummer's the greatest movie ever. Interstellar's not good. Just look at what happened when it releases 10 years later in IMAX. It was a cultural phenomenon once again. Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, the list goes on and on. Christopher Nolan writing, he got the directing chops going. Hans Zimmer on the soundtrack, the special effects, the CGI of space. I mean, it took them like 100 hours to render 1 second of the black hole. I mean, it just goes on.
My favorite part of Interstellar, though, is when they're like, Matthew McConaughey, we need to send you into space. He's like, all right. And then he's like, does this robot have a friend? And they're like, no, it'd be a lot cooler if it did. I will admit, he did really good on the acting.
I like the part where he's pushing the books. That was good.
Frank drank like 8 beers and then went and laid down in a Alamo Draft House and passed out 6 minutes into the movie and then woke up and didn't know where he was, so he left. And then he's like, that movie sucked.
Story.
That movie sucked. I'm just like, okay, man, maybe sit down, hit the Benjamin and see where it takes you.
Do a little
soundbar
dab.
On.
Do a little dab like Bam Bam.
You have to hear your movie, though.
Then you'll be interested.
I like Interstellar. Arrival's better. All right. Mine is obvious. Mine is easy. I'm sure the whole entire control room could guess. Lord of the Rings movies are
Jesus.
absolutely
Stop.
they're
I thought
trash.
you'd grown
They're
up
garbage.
since then.
They suck. They're the worst. There are 3 hours of walking around each. I don't need to spend 3 hours watching people walk around.
They're hobbits. They're walking. It's fun. They take 2 steps for every 1 step of the human.
I see nothing wrong with this opinion.
Thank you. Thank you,
cringing.
Jordan.
Another man who does not know ball coming from Jordan there.
Oh, there was a great 4-minute battle amongst a 3-hour movie where they were walking a lot. Tremendous.
Like, this is what we go with. We go with like one of the greatest trilogy ever created, and like individually some of the best movies. And like, we're not gonna say like The Shape of Water, like that one Best Picture, and it's about a woman having sex with a monster.
But I don't rate that highly anyway. Everybody else rates the Lord of the Rings highly. It's just
yeah. You know what? You'll grow up.
Good movies. It's not good movies.
Andy, her son was in here earlier. Director Andy in the back, son was in here earlier. Rohan, inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Literally.
And Rick pulls him aside. Kid's like 8 months old, pulls him aside, and he's like, hey, your name's fucking stupid because it's after a stupid movie. I was like, Rick, man, take it easy, dude.
With a cigarette
Chill
on his
out.
hand.
I was like, listen,
You know what he actually told him? He said,
put his cigarette out on his forehead. He's
Listen,
like,
kid.
Stupid, roll on.
You know what he actually
name
said?
in that movie
He
sucks.
told him, we don't ride for Rohan.
Is that a reference to the movie?
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Love Lord of the Rings. I might run back the extended trilogy tonight. Just
extended. So we
just
got
spite them, I'm
12
gonna watch it
hours. We got
twice.
4
12
hours of
hours.
walking. 4 hours.
Wait,
of
no,
walking
I have an idea. Movie night. We don't tell Rick what it is, even though I'm telling him right now. All director's cuts of Lord of the Rings.
Ugh,
all of them.
I've actually never
And
watched
lock
the
the
director's cut.
doors. Don't let the man out. Don't you need like a month for that? That's
Yeah,
too much.
you need
You
way
need like a
too
couple
long.
days.
You need way too long to
Watch
be,
party?
We're doing it.
doing Sinners tonight, guys. By the way, looking forward to
I
it.
might join you. I think I'm gonna go tonight too. I think I'm gonna go tonight too.
I am very excited for that one. I'm very
Jokes.
excited.
It's not Sinners. It's Lord of the Rings.
They switch it on me.
Yeah, we pull the rug out on. I
mean,
old Rick there.
I know it would cost a lot or require a lot of planning, but a good prank could be we all go to a movie and you guys have changed out the movie to Lord of the Rings in a theater. I'm saying, not just switching a DVD, because then I'll just leave the apartment.
Super easy to do. Let's just.
You know
do
what
it.
I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go get the biggest, fattest burrito I've ever had in my life and watch Lord of the Rings afterward.
Ugh,
all right, next voicemail. That one took way too long.
All right, let's go. No, that was good. That was good.
Lads, 24-inch subs calling up from Boston. Go Celtics.
Shout out, go
I want
Celtics.
to give a shout out to Frank, Andy, and on-air Jordan for being the glue of the show. They don't get enough
They truly
props
are.
and shout-outs and love, so I wanted to do that.
Shout out.
Go Celtics.
Oh, that was it. Shout out to him. Shout out to the crew in the back, in the trenches with us.
Could not disagree more with one part of that. Could not agree more with another part of that. You guys decide which one.
We hate you.
Fuck the Celtics, and Andy, Jordan, and Frank are the best.
We appreciate the love.
Next.
Hello, boys. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. First time call. I love your show. My question is, what do you think of TKO possibly doing away with the Ali Act? Thank you very much, boys.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you, Arnold, for
Arnie asking
in.
the tough questions.
Yeah, so I actually can't speak fully to this, but I do know that this is of concern with the TKO Boxing League. I know that they're not trying to get rid of the entire thing, but they're trying to get rid of one clause in it that will essentially be able to let them operate as a league, and like we can lose competitive pay. I just can't imagine that. You know, obviously, I'm speaking sort of out of my ass, not being fully knowledgeable on the subject, but I just can't imagine it's a good thing for the fighters to lose it.
Yeah, so I know a little bit about this. They are, as you said, it is not trying to like completely dissolve the act. It is trying to make amendments to the act, but if the amendments are guided by your own selfish reasons for wanting to loosen regulation and restrictions so that you could get what you need done, but for all intents and purposes, you are trying to dissolve the significant matters in the act. Experts on this, if you want to know more, if you are looking for expertise, as you said, we're not as well versed as somebody like John Nash, who goes by Hey Not the Face on X. I don't know if he has another platform. He's written about this extensively and will continue to write about it. To my understanding, a lot of this is focused on the belts and wanting to have a league format in a way that boxing does not allow for, right? The one of the main reasons why the UFC has not been able to be replicated in boxing is because that consolidation of power has not happened. And so if the amendments to the act, if the parts that they are trying to have amended create an environment where a league where anybody who they deem fit is given a title shot, you can naturally understand why the other belts and the system that was in place previously, where on the merits of your wins and losses, you advance in the system, then you get a title opportunity, then you get chances to unify, you have mandatory challengers, all that goes away, and it is more akin to the UFC structure where you are just giving out title shots on the basis of your promotion. That is contrary to how boxing has existed for the last long stretch. And so, yes, there's, who knows what ultimately happens with that, whether they're going to be successful in terms of lobbying for that and able to do it. But it's not something that I keep up with on a regular basis. Somebody like a John Nash would be better for that. So you could follow him and you'll probably get more out of that.
Hey, boys in the back. This is Trey from South Dakota.
What's up, Trey?
Big
South
fan.
Dakota.
Love the show. But I would just like to start this off with Rick. Fucking love you, dude. I love all the nerdiness that the whole crew incorporates, but your incurable addiction to Magic the Gathering is attractive. And GC, love the bald beard brand momentum. And that being said, Frank, sometimes great lists, but the list from last week, we should start a petition to remove him from the show. I'll be looking into it legally.
You asked court.
Look into it legally.
Hey, shout out to Trey from South Dakota.
Shout out, Trey.
Hopefully he's part of the Bald Beard brand.
You wish that on someone?
GC, Rick, and Frankie, how you boys doing? This is Georgie from Baltimore, and I'll make it quick.
Shout out, Georgie.
Do you think the UFC would let Conor McGregor use the last two fights on his contract in TKO boxing instead of in the cage? Much love.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, unless Conor was just like, I ain't fighting again unless I do boxing.
Yeah, that's probably the only scenario, because otherwise you could have him do the boxing and still maintain those UFC fights on his contract. Just so, again, and I think we need to a lot of the business of Conor McGregor at this point for the UFC is preventing him from going elsewhere. There's people who think he'll never fight again. The business of Conor McGregor is great business for the UFC. But as you continue to see, they're selling out arenas. They're making their biggest gates ever. The business is great for the UFC. A Conor McGregor would be a big boost to it. But the biggest boost that they get is Conor McGregor not fighting for a competitor. The biggest boost they get is Conor McGregor not boxing a Jake Paul or going to another organization. And so the expediting of his contract would not be in their best interest. They would want to hold him for as long as they possibly can so that whenever he does fight, it is only for us. Now, as we saw with Francis Ngannou, and I don't know the terms of Conor McGregor's contract when he re-signed what it was, there was a fight number, but there was also a date. There was also for Francis Ngannou, if you remember, that January timeframe where it expired, and then a year from then was the end of the matching period, and he had the ability to negotiate. And so there may be a time where Conor McGregor, regardless of those two fights, becomes a free agent. And then there will be some interesting conversations to have. But either way, I don't think they will substitute boxing for MMA fights because they could conceivably get both. If the biggest fight for Conor is boxing, they could put that on and then say, you still owe us 2 MMA fights. And Conor would still make massive money. They would still make massive money. So I don't think they'll let him out on that basis.
Yeah, the boys in the back. Let's put the boys on the map. Fly to Iowa. Hit Des Moines for a scrap. Mixed martial arts. Get destroyed or adapt. Shout out New York Rick, spitting poisonous facts. Y'all boys are really cooking like the boys in the trap. 5 days a week, ended off with the crack. And Ariel, he could have left the boys in the back, but he bought the whole team like the toys on his rack. That's real love, real love. I respect that. We all trying to figure out our life and get our check stacked. So as I sign off for this week, hit some bars for y'all. Don't let the darkness consume what you working hardest for. Let's go. It's Tim from Lincoln Square, a.k.a. Timmy Tortuga. Timmy Tortuga.
Timmy Tortuga?
Shout out Timmy.
I think Tortuga is what he's saying.
Timmy
Turtle?
Tortuga
I think so.
from Lincoln Square. Shout out, man.
Wow, what a bar.
What did he say? The boys in the back.
He said
cooking like the boys in the trap.
Yeah, and then he also said the line about like Ariel could have left the boys in the back.
Shout out.
So shout out to Helwani for
Timmy
taking
Tortuga in
shout
the
out Timmy.
house, Lincoln Square.
Some
that
bars
was fantastic.
there. I agree with you about my knowledge and prowess.
Poisonous facts.
Poisonous facts.
Motherfucker, it's Nick Diaz, and I'm sick of everybody saying that I can't fight anymore because I haven't.
This is supposed to be Nick Diaz.
You know,
Nick.
I want to find out. I want to see what's up. So, GC, you're on a bike. I do fucking bikes or whatever. Triathlons. What's up?
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, I'm fucking down, Nick. Come on. Let's get him in the studio. I'll do a whole triathlon against him.
I know we had this Brady thing lined up coming soon. I don't know if you want to smoke with Nick or Nate on the bikes. Those dudes.
I'll do a triathlon versus him.
Oh,
I want to see some times on these boys, or if they're just finishing. Are they just finishing?
Boy.
I'll do a time triathlon. Let me get in the water. I'm like a fish. All right.
Boy.
What is good? I'm Chimo, talking from South Brazil.
Wow, shout
I've been following MMA for years now. So I'm seeing that a lot of people have no love for Rick lately. I find it funny. So my take is I found Rick to be usually the most reasonable one, but sometimes with some absurd takes. So that's my take. Just to say, love you all. I want to shout out all the boys in the back and everybody from the Ariel Holland show as well. Also, a shout out to your former partners, MMA Fighting.
Shout out.
And all that because you have been a big part of my life for a while already. So really, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And actually, I would like to talk, work with talking MMA shows maybe someday. So my quick question is to all three halves of the boys in the back.
All three halves.
Have you been to
Frankie
Brazil? Have you tried our Brazilian barbecue? We call it churrasco, which is awesome, I have to say. Maybe we can meet in the next UFC Brazil. Well, that's it. Thanks again. See you.
Fights booked.
First of all, Incredible message. The fact that he's calling in from Brazil. Can't appreciate you enough. Thank you for being a part of it, not only here, but also in the MMA Fighting Days. Have I ever been to Brazil? No, unfortunately. I would love to go. Closest thing I've had to the barbecue is the churrascarias here.
You've had it.
So, yeah, I mean, I love it. I'd love to get the authentic thing in Brazil. Would absolutely love it. That and a little acai sounds bomb.
Frank, have you ever been to Brazil?
I have not been to Brazil.
I have been to Rio. I went for UFC 237, I think it was. Whatever Rose versus Andrade was. Volk and Aldo and Silva and Ryan Spann, I want to say it was. I think it was 237. Had an incredible time. The acai was as good as advertised. Ariel had been hyping it up for a long time. It somehow it exceeded expectations based on what the level he had set. It was incredible. And I did the churrascaria in Brazil. Dude, it was like life-changing. It was incredible. So shout out to I think his name was Tima? Either way, shout out. Thank you for that beautiful message.
Man.
What up, Gout Gang? Shout out Canada.
Shout out Canada.
Just want to get you guys' opinion on, honestly, the state of UFC, like the quality of UFC cards. I feel like they could be a lot better. UFC 314 was pretty good, but the rest coming up are kind of buns. Let me know.
Yeah. My thought on that is if they're going to do that, then they're going to have to reduce the number of cards that they do on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, as we continue to say, like the appetite for it continues to be strong. So I don't know what's going to change at that point. Maybe when the broadcast thing gets settled, maybe when the next broadcast deal gets settled. But it is fair to say, like in my opinion, the quality of cards across from top to bottom has gone down a little bit. But again, like they're breaking records on TV, they're breaking records on gate. Like there's no incentive to change in unless something drastically changes, and maybe the broadcast deal will force that.
Hey, boys in the back, it's Lucas Mills from Buffalo NY.
Shout out.
I was just wondering, with the entire lightweight situation being so wide open recently, especially if Islam moves up, what do you think Dan Hooker's next fight will be? I know he's coming off a pretty big injury and surgery, but he was supposed to have a pretty big fight against Justin Gaethje, so he could possibly be moving into another big fight. But I was just wondering your thoughts on Dan Hooker's next fight. Have a great show and day. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Lucas, right? Calling in from Buffalo. Shout out to Buffalo. Bills Mafia. You'll be watching on Saturday when Helwani makes the draft pick. Yeah, I feel like Gaethje, just going back to the well on that one, is a solid play. I mean, I know he beat Rafael Fiziev, but I feel like you just go Gaethje, just like an all-out war, make it exciting. I don't think Gaethje's next for the title. I like the Gaethje fight.
If Arman gets left out in the cold for some reason, let's say Ilya and Charles do end up fighting, I don't know who, because I guess maybe you could do Arman versus Gaethje, but Max and Dustin seem like they're on a collision course. Then Hooker's number 6. I don't mind Arman versus Hooker as a potential fight. Now, that's a big spot for Dan. And you would imagine that Gaethje could have gotten that opportunity, but I don't mind it.
Let's say it goes Ilya Charles, Islam vacates, Ilya Charles, Dustin Max, Arman Gaethje, and then Dan Hooker's getting left out in the cold.
Hattie?
Moicano, turtle in a tree.
Yeah, I guess.
But then, where does Patty go?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be
messy.
interesting to watch 155 get played out.
Yeah.
What the fuck is good, lad? Sean Plant calling from Austin, Texas. I have a question for Mr. GC.
Yes, sir.
It is fucking Carlos Prates fight week. How many goddamn cigs are you about to smoke inside? I need about 150 to 200. I don't want you fucking breathing on fucking that Sunday morning, all right? Let's fucking torch those lungs, baby. Carlos Prates by KO, round 2. Come on!
Wow.
I don't want you fucking breathing, you said.
Bro got hyped up there. I will definitely... Wow, look at that. This is what I'm saying. This is what I think I look like. when I'm in here with like, this guy is doing it perfectly. Look at that. The index between middle, and you just kind of let it hang. It just sort of becomes a part of your body, you know? And it's like, I'm actually a lefty on it when it comes to it. I'm a little bit ambidextrous, but like, you know, you can switch it up. This guy's got a right hand. Right hand's a power move. Right hand's a power move, but I don't feel as natural. I feel like if I'm going to go right-handed, then I'm sort of hanging it out. When you wear a suit, too, I'm just in a T-shirt and some jeans
This guy,
right now.
by the way,
Yeah?
is Edward R. Murrow.
Shout out to Edward R. Murrow. I feel like that's what I'm saying. Look at him. The stack of paper in the hands, I feel like I need some papers to read off of right now. I feel like I should be reading something, you know, and it's just like, it's so much better when you're stressed out. Like, it's just like, you can be talking through what you're speaking through with it in your hand, like it's just a part of your body, just like this. And then I feel like my forehead has never itched in its life until I get a cigarette, and then I'm like, you know, we gotta work through this. How many am I gonna be smoking this weekend? I'll smoke one on Saturday before the fights for sure. Give some good juju Carlos's way, and then Saturday evening probably another 2 if Carlos is able to pull it off. We gotta smoke a Marlboro just in case for Carlos. I mean, I paid fucking in New York. These things are not cheap. It's like $25 a pack. It's absolutely
Crazy.
ridiculous.
What a habit. He doesn't want you breathing.
Yeah. 200 is not happening. Cigarette inside, though, for sure. I'll turn off my smoke
How many
alarms.
is Carlos going to smoke, more importantly?
A lot. Yeah, smoke alarms. I'll take out the batteries for a quick dart inside.
What do we do with the inside smoke? You lighting on the stove, you know, a little...
That feels like real
D-gen,
bougie.
right?
Yeah, like that feels like real D-gen. Like if I lose the Carlos bet, I'll light one up on the stove. I do have a gas stove, but
you use one cigarette to light the other. Come on.
That's a chain smoker, though.
Lighter.
That's you.
I actually
He's just trying to light up one.
The cig definitely got caught on the lighter. There was a
You could see the soot on it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, you know, we'll have a good time on Saturday. Shout out.
What's up, boys? This is Mike from Mullins, South Carolina, by way of Burlington, Ontario.
Shout out to Ontario.
Weighing in at a somewhat doughy 185. And long time, first time. The question is for New York. Rick,
yes, sir.
heard you mention a couple weeks ago that you're a big fan of Darren Brown, and I am too. Just wondering what are some of your favorite things that he's done. You got me rewatched The Apocalypse and The Push and The Guilt Trip. I really like the long form stuff he's done, but just curious what got you into his stuff and what you like about it. All right, take it easy.
Shout out to you. I like the long form stuff. Darren Brown is a magician / mentalist from the UK, whose stuff I got into a long time ago. I like the YouTube stuff better than I like the long form stuff. The long form stuff is great. He's done a few specials for Netflix and Channel 4 in the UK as well. But I like playing with paper money on YouTube. I like his advertising agency thing he did with Simon Pegg. He's incredible. I recommended this to a friend of ours, cameraman Nick, and they just have not consumed it. I've suggested that they look for this. I thought they would enjoy it, and cameraman Nick has just not decided to take me up on that. Much like anytime I recommend a movie to Frank. So if you're out there, Darren Brown's great. Look for him on YouTube. Look for him on Netflix. He's incredible.
Shout out to him, the doughy 185.
Yeah,
nothing I love more than like weighing in at the doctor's office and they slide the scale and they're like, 171. It's just like weighing in for the welterweight title, 171. Shout out.
Well, no title fight if you're 171.
That's true. Oh, we've lost the belt. All right.
Hey, what's up, boys in the back? It's AJ from the great state of Connecticut once again.
Shout out, AJ.
So my question for you guys this week is, with UFC Kansas City going on this weekend, obviously Kansas City known for the great barbecue. So what are some of your favorite city-specific foods? So it's like I have from Connecticut, big New Haven pizza guy.
Love New Haven pizza.
So what are your favorite city-specific foods? Thanks.
Love New Haven pizza. Love bagels. Like if you want to count that as either Montreal or New York.
Bagel, yeah.
Love. Thought I was going somewhere with this. I'm not. What do you like?
New York bagel is probably high up there.
New York bagel,
even above New York pizza for me. New York bagel.
Give me a Chicago dog.
You like the Seattle dog?
Love the Seattle dog. Love Love Cincinnati chili. Some people hate that.
Ooh, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
My dad loves it. He built it up. We went to Cincinnati, and I was like, oh, boy, Dad, we're not going to agree on this one.
Philly cheesesteak.
Oh,
Philly
cheesesteak's a
cheesesteak.
great
Like,
one.
how can you not? St. Louis gooey butter cake, Chicago deep dish
Oh,
pizza.
yeah, that's the one.
Crab cake in Baltimore. That's not a bad shout.
Wait,
what's
crab cakes from Baltimore?
Yeah.
Clam chowder in Boston.
Which style, though?
There's different styles.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There's like the tomato-based one, and
You got
there's
the
the other one.
Manhattan clam chowder, which is, like you said, the tomato red
Oh,
clam
fuck
chowder. And then
no.
you got the New England, which is the white,
I've only had New
creamy,
England.
delicious.
I've never had. Yeah, dude, New England all day. I've never had red-based clam chowder. Nah, that shit's white.
Frank, what's like a Texas staple? Like, what's like a Texas City one?
I mean, there's the barbecue, obviously.
Yep.
I guess, yeah, but that's like Kansas City has it, Texas has
There's
it.
a thing called the Frito burrito. That's pretty
Okay.
specific
Yeah.
to Texas.
I've had one of those. Those are fire.
But shout out to London, the prawn cocktail.
English breakfast is hard to top. Buffalo wings?
Silly me, I thought Frank was being serious for a second.
I'm being dead serious.
Buffalo wings are great.
Yeah. I mean,
New York Bagel's my number one, though, for sure.
Nashville hot chicken is very good. Yeah, there's some good ones. I like that.
Hey, boys in the back. Second-time caller, long-time listener. You know who it is. GC, Rick, Frank. Listen, a lot's changed since my last call.
Hey, is
I
this
got
Don
into it a little
Davis?
bit with
Yes.
Ariel and some other media members. Much respect, but let's keep it real. You guys know how to drive conversation, but sometimes it feels like fighters catch more heat than they should. Over here at the PFL, we've got the full season, real standings, real stakes, Game 7 vibes every night. And our Discord's buzzing. Fighter AMAs, live data drops, fans and athletes building something special. That uncrowned server, it's a little quiet these days, guys. No
Frank?
shade, just facts. Come check out how the sport of MMA that we all love and watch is evolving. And Frank, it's okay if you don't have Xbox. Play me back on Dreamcast and get some Phantasy Star Online and Choo Choo Rocket.
Oh, that
See you
man
guys on
knows.
LinkedIn.
Well, D coming in with the DSO. I love it.
Don Davis, man. He's the fucking best.
Okay, but what if
We
this was
appreciate
really
you,
Don Davis? Just like
It is. I believe that this actually is Don Davis. Shout out to him. Thanks, Don.
Yo, what's up, guys? I messed up my last one, so giving it another shot. Shout out Connor. Shout out Rick. Shout out Frank. My name's Jake. I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Shout out Jake. Shout out Denver.
First time, long time. So my
Yes, sir.
question is, I was thinking about the Bilal and Islam situation, you know, like Islam waiting to see how things play out with the whole like 315 main event, you know, like seeing whether like Bilal loses or not. And like from like my point of view, right, like it seems like Islam like really wants to move up and like really wants to fight for that belt. So I was thinking about from like Bilal's perspective, like it's kind of like obvious, I think, that like Islam like wants Bilal to lose, right? And like, you know, like the whole narrative is that like they're like friends, right? You know, like they're really good friends, like they won't fight each other. But like if you were Bilal, like would you be upset that like your boy is like basically like plotting on you to lose so
Saying it
like he can
without
like
saying
move up?
Yeah.
So that's my question. Wanted to hear what you guys think.
I hadn't
Again,
thought about it
shout
from
out,
that
boys.
perspective
Love
before.
you guys. Make my life better. Thank you.
Shout
Thank
out,
you.
brother. Shout out Denver.
I hadn't thought about it from that perspective before, but yeah, this whole thing is like, I won't fight Bilal, but I'm waiting to see what happens in the Jack Della fight. Well, then you're kind of waiting for Bilal to lose to Jack Della.
Yeah, if my boy loses, I'm gonna go take his place.
It's weird. It is
Yeah,
a
that's
bit
a
of
good
a
point by
weird
Jake.
situation.
Appreciate you, brother.
I didn't think of it in that context. Or maybe it's just like, if you're Islam, maybe it's not as nefarious as that. It's just like, I hope he wins, but if he doesn't, I'll step. You know what I mean?
I'll
Like,
capitalize on the
but
opportunity.
it is a bit weird. This is why I just say, like, just fight. Like, fight Bilal. Like,
You're not that good at
it's athletic competition. It's not like this guy was like your like, if you were like Islam versus Habib, yeah, I get it. I understand why you wouldn't. But Bilal, it's like, yeah, I understand. Also, as you pointed out when we last talked about this, it's a lot more Bilal being like, I'm not going to fight Islam than Islam being
Islam's
like, I'm not going to fight
I'm
Bilal.
down.
Yeah. But I didn't think about it that way.
Last voicemail.
Last voicemail.
Good day, boys. It's James Kahuna. Wanted to call in and address some rumors that have been going around lately, mate. I'd like to announce that I'm coming back. I'll be fighting in the GFL against Shogun Hua in a rematch. Co-main event, Odd Duffy versus John Volante.
Sponsored by Bam Bam Bun. Come out and see it, boys.
Hey, shout out Bam Bam.
Love to see Mysterious Break make the trip out. Maybe we can play some Xbox when he comes out. Thanks, mate.
Everybody wants to play video games with friends.
I know, I love that. Fuck, man. The James Tahuna thing is like one of the funniest things. Jedi Goodman, if you haven't seen it, it's on our Twitter. We should have had the clip ready. He put our reaction and then goes to the clip of Ariel and Ty. And when Ariel is just like, no, he definitely fought. Like he fought in a big fight and he won by knockout and then he called out Jake Paul. And then it's just like 3 or 4 seconds of silence and Ty's just like, James Tahuna? It's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and like you can see like Ty is so adamant that he didn't fight, and then Ariel at one point is just like, nah, guys, someone confirm this for me, like he fought. And then Ty's like, did he fight? And then he's just like, nah, dude, you're talking about Tyson fucking Pedro, man. All-time clip. It's up on Twitter right now.
To be fair, somebody could have helped out Ariel there, but my thing was like,
no, I immediately started Googling it.
Yeah, as I was saying,
all that came up was just like James Tahuna hasn't fought in forever. It was just obviously Ariel's been on the air for 3 hours at that point, and like it is just like Tyson Pedro in a boxing match 3 months ago. Like it's okay to have the slip up there, but just like the whole thing, the way Ty reacted to it was fucking gold.
In my head, I had no idea. I was like, oh, James Tahuna did a boxing match. Great, fantastic.
It was so funny. It was so funny.
Shout out to James Tahuna. Shout out to Tyson Pedro.
Ty played it so well, so good. Shout out to James Tahuna, man. I was like going to bed last night and like James Tahuna popped into my head and I was just laying there in my bed just laughing.
You know about the MIB walkout, right? Like the legendary, like Shout out to
so
James
good.
Tahuna.
The fact that just like Ty's just like, he's like the first Aussie like to make it to the UFC. He's just like, yeah, I know James Tahuna. He fought a couple months ago. Jake Paul is just like, James Tahuna? So good. All right, that's voicemails. Do we got any super chats?
Just a reminder, if you want to leave one for next week and beyond, 415 SUP BITB. Give us a call.
Those are fun. Those are fun. I
so
really
much
do.
fun.
I do love it.
I gotta say, the impressions are like getting.
It's good. It's good, man. It's good.
Super chats.
Sean coming in again. Ian is a W, but we need an apology from Magni Hate for the Magni Hate.
Yeah, I mean that did get a little bit weird, but either way,
it's whatever.
I don't think we need an apology. I'll say that, but
he's definitely not going to apologize either. It's been too long.
I think Ian's going to continue to be polarizing, and as I said on the Ariel Helwani show earlier this week, that is better for him. It is better if Ian is polarizing than if he's just this guy that everybody's like, we love Ian. Like it's not best for him.
Play heel.
Jordan writes in top 5 fighting games.
Okay. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
That's on yours.
Yep.
Wait.
Tekken 8. Mortal Kombat
Tekken
9.
83?
No, it's Tekken 8. Dragon Ball Fighter Z. And then Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, this guy knows ball. This is kind of a mix of all of ours.
I also like how Frank threw it out there and then just decided to stop reading it. Like
because he started reading.
I know. Frank gets very offended if someone speaks over him.
Just discombobulated.
Yeah, that's it.
Sean Plant writes, Anthony Smith's second round sub will feed my grandma.
Hopefully grandma's feeding isn't dependent on an Anthony Smith second round sub.
Oh, man. I hope not.
Tech writes in, did you see the James Tahuna
Shout out GTH.
The James Tahuna lore is gonna get crazy.
We got to make some James Tahuna shirts.
Moderator Olajuwon Dream writes, Jets going up 3-0 tonight.
Yeah, Olajuwon Dream, big Jets fan, formerly known as the Thrashers, so I support.
Brandon, UFC Undisputed 3, the Warriors, shout out. Def Jam fight for NY.
Oh, shout out.
Fight night round 4, WWE, here comes the pain.
WWE games don't count.
Undisputed 3,
actually WWE games probably count.
Which one I had that on, but yeah, shout out. That was a good list. Def Jam for NY.
Def Jam.
It's a
Why
good
does
one.
WWE count, but Conor's Fight Night Championship?
It counts. It counts.
They all count.
They all count, but they don't. Those are sports games.
Musician Rick G writes,
Hey, Rick G.
Midsummer was absolute dog shit. Thank you, GC. Rick G, Connor,
Disagree.
you guys could stay in your own camp.
Shout out Rick G, and also shout out to Frank for the heavy emphasis on the shit there.
I just want to make sure that
Midsummer
the
was dog
podcasters-
shit. Thanks, GC. Yeah, that was good.
What else?
Adam Rogers, GC, I'm telling you, watch the Smith Asdemir fight. Crazy.
All right, we'll do. My Swiss brethren, Volkan Ozdemir.
Did you say that you hadn't seen that fight or something? Why is he telling you to watch that one?
I don't know. I mentioned it. That was a good win.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
why-
I guess he just knows that like my fandom wasn't like firm because I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
And then lastly, give me a second to get this one out for the podcast listeners. But Hamashi MMA writes, fight game specials in the 90s were like down emoji, back emoji, forward emoji. You get it, like the roundhouse.
Yeah.
So I just wanted everyone to appreciate that. I think it's great. Thanks, Hanashi.
Do you know what that is, Frank?
That's not an actual movie. He was just typing in random ones.
Down
You can't go-
diagonal,
You
over
can't go
diagonal,
back.
down diagonal, over.
That's
I don't like it.
That's the Shoryuken.
Oh, all right. I guess I didn't know.
All right. That's all of them?
That is, in fact, all of them.
RZA adds in one more. Rick Akuma debuted in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, not Super Street Fighter 2 not Street Fighter 2 Turbo, you uncultured swine.
I said Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah. Wow, Reza.
Tell Reza that I said Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
He can hear you.
Reza, he said Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Thank you.
You uncultured swine.
If it said anything different,
I think that'll do it for us, you know?
That'll be on Aaron Jordan. All letters to him.
All right.
Look at this guy.
This is my dream now. I'm just gonna start my own news broadcast that I can just smoke cigarettes for.
After the fight,
Dixon's. Ooh, can't say that one. If we send $100 super chats, will GC light the cig? Nah, I'd get in too much trouble.
After a Prates win, do a little video.
I might just go IG live. Dana White
IG live,
smoking a cig inside.
Do it like a news broadcast. All right, guys. Breaking news.
Breaking news here on the front here in New York City. Carlos Prates win by second round knockout. More at 11. All right, yeah, that'll do it for us. We covered KSW 105. We covered Eubank Ben. We covered UFC Kansas City. DDP back. Gamrot's got a fight. Top 5 pound for pound video games. I mean, we did it all. It's been a fantastic show, almost 3 hours. One of the most fun shows we've had. Appreciate y'all more than you know. Watch the crack tomorrow. Watch the NFL draft on Saturday. Big Helwani announcing a pick for the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be amazing. And we'll see you for the Ariel Helwani show on Monday. Thanks for watching. Peace.